Blackstone presents Savage Skies by Nicholas Sansbury Smith. This book is read by Eduardo Ballerini. Under sealed orders from the Executive Commander of the Federation, Article 19 LC, ARC stations are to be deployed across the planet and hidden from the enemy at top-secret locations. All stations will be stocked with the best of us, a genetic variation of human, animal, and plant species. These top-secret locations will be protected by Guardians, special forces from the ranks of the Federation. Their mission? To give us a second chance. End transmission. Chapter 1. The frozen abyss of space had always terrified Stryker, even before the nightmares began. It was easy to admire and marvel over the possibilities of new worlds and extraterrestrial life, right up until you were tumbling away into that cold interstellar vastness. The nightmare always started the same way. The safety tether snapping off his harness from the top of the space elevator connected to the Federation space station. Stryker reaching out for the massive structure as it receded from him, finally becoming just a dot in a sea of stars. Then came the overwhelming sense of insignificance, like a grain of sand in a desert that covered an entire planet, or perhaps a snowflake in a never-ending blizzard on a frozen world. The darkness of space was more frigid than any of those worlds, blistering cold, threatening to freeze him down to the marrow in his bones as his life support systems slowly failed. He wasn't sure how long the nightmare lasted. It was always hard to judge once he woke up, but this one seemed longer than normal, like a race that wouldn't end. There was always another hill, and then it would repeat, over and over, until finally he was transported to a dream of a clean white room that smelled of disinfectant. He sat up in a bed surrounded by a dozen other beds, each with the same blue sheets and the white-winged logo of the Federation. This was a memory from long ago, when he was just a teenager. The young faces around him slept peacefully until the door swung open and the lights flicked on. A bald man with a square jaw and thick dark brows hurried into the center of the room, wearing blue fatigues with the Federation's wing emblem and a lieutenant's insignia. Two more men in tactical uniforms rushed in behind him, motioning toward the exits. "Everyone up now!" the lieutenant shouted. "This is not a drill!" An emergency siren drowned out his booming voice. The orphanage went dark, as if a curtain had been drawn across the stage. The distant siren continued to blare, low and faint, but it was there. Over the noise came the distinct hum of thrusters. Stryker flinched as green shooting stars pierced the darkness in a new memory. Explosions burst across the sky as a swarm of black-armored dropships lowered over the muddy surface of a battlefield. Tracer rounds sparked off the ship's armored hulls. Now a grown man, he stood in a vacuum-rated suit of tight-fitting body armor, holding a laser rifle with a smoking barrel. "Take cover!" someone shouted. The voice snapped him into action. He turned and ran, heavy boots squelching in the gluey mud. Red tracer rounds poured from the wing turrets of the dropships, riddling the ground with glowing holes. Stones and clods of dirt exploded into the air and pattered down on his armor. Enemy laser bolts traced a molten line ahead of him, forcing him to drop to the mud. He switched on his night vision goggles and slowly lifted his helmet. A soldier was waving at him from a trench 100 feet away. Pushing himself up, keeping low, he slogged through the mire. Red tracer rounds split the air around him, somehow missing him. The muddy ground grew firmer, and he bolted across the last 50 feet, jumping for the trench as a rocket demolished the field behind him. Dirt and stones rained down in the trench, covering him with smoldering debris. He dug his way free to find a soldier slumped in the bottom of the trench. Smoke rose from the back of his helmet, where his brain had been. Stryker shuddered from another rise in body temperature. This wasn't part of the dream. This, he could tell, was his flesh and blood body. And that siren from the orphanage was still playing in the background, like the constant echo of sirens in any major city. Stryker looked up as an armored dropship hovered overhead, its elongated tail section opening to disgorge armored soldiers. They hopped out, their jetpacks igniting and propelling them into the sky. They zipped away, leaving trails of vapor. Green tracer rounds and laser bolts chased them as they zigzagged like dragonflies. The engines on the wings of the ship fired, hitting Stryker with a blast of scorching exhaust that lifted him off his feet and slammed him into the wall next to the dead soldier. Someone grabbed him and pulled him down before red laser bolts sizzled into the dirt where he had just been. "Stay down, numbnuts!" A female voice, familiar. The raucous boom of engines blocked out everything else, including the distant siren. Overhead, the dropships roared back into the darkness. "Keep moving!" yelled the soldier. Crouching down, Stryker trudged after the woman. They came to an intersection in the ditch, where she shouldered her rifle and motioned him to follow. The distant roar of the ships gave way to a hissing noise. Stryker moved up behind the woman when he saw motion over the trench ahead, then the blue glow of a jetpack. He pushed her out of the path of lasers fired by a soldier flying 10 feet above. The enemy swooped down, unleashing a torrent of shots that there was no escaping. A burst hit Stryker in the chest, slamming him into mud. He lay on his back, his visor angled at the dark sky and the endless vault of space. The woman crouched by his side, yelling something, but all Stryker could hear was that same damned alarm siren. His head pounded, and his body temperature rose. Stryker finally awoke from the string of nightmares, standing up, sucking in a gasp of air through a filter over his mouth. He was underwater, his vision blurred. A curved glass lid finally came into focus. Only then did he realize he was in a cryotube. Red lights flashed outside his pod, and the siren wailed, the same one from his dreams. Raising a hand, he struggled to move his sluggish arms through thick, warming liquid. Tube snaked away from his arms and groin. In the final stages of the thaw, he closed his eyes and prepared for the worst part, the removal of the catheter and the violent coughing that would follow. The machine pulled it out, and none too gently, eliciting an agonized groan as it always did. Stryker gave several deep, rattling coughs as the glass lid opened. He slumped against the side of the chamber, his doped-up limbs too weak to support him. The alarm was really blasting now, and not helping his head any, which felt like a pressure cooker with a stuck plug. He vomited gelatinous liquid over the side of the tube. Losing his balance, he slumped out of the pod onto the cold chamber floor. Raising his shoulder, he wiped his lips, then heaved again until the spasm broke capillaries in his throat, bringing the metallic taste of blood. The red light illuminated the other chambers of the cryo-bay. In the glow, a slender, athletic female came over to him, holding a translucent data screen in her hand. The glow revealed a youthful face of about 30 years old, only a few wrinkles around blue eyes. Those eyes flitted down to him as he tried to get up onto his knees, falling in the attempt. "Take it easy," the woman said, in a harsh but kind voice. The voice was familiar, but the hammering in his head made thinking difficult. She slung a wet braid of blonde hair over one shoulder and handed down a towel. There was a tattoo on her wrist of 2 dice and a burning playing card. She pulled it back before he could get a good look. "Here, Sergeant Stryker," she said. "You know my name," he said. She indicated the nameplate on his cryopod. Sergeant Nate Stryker. "Oh, right," he said. Stryker took the towel from her and gently mopped off his throbbing forehead. "You okay?" she asked. "Aside from not remembering anything, yeah, I think so." Muscles finally responding, he pushed himself up to his knees and noticed the 3 raised scars on the dark skin of his chest. He remembered the lasers from the dream. They were real. He turned to the cryo lid and saw the reflection of a man he didn't recognize. Himself. He was lean, with barreled chest muscles and ropey muscle on his arms and legs. There was no denying he was in great shape. Stepping closer, he examined his face, running one hand along a square jaw covered in a dark shadow of facial hair the same length as the bristles on his head. He looked into his brown eyes, wondering what secrets they'd seen over the years. "Better get it together, because we got a major problem," the woman said. He turned and saw her name tag on the breast of her uniform. Corporal Ramona Reddle. "Name's Red," she said. "Of course it is. Clever nickname." Her eyes flitted down his chest, stopping below his hips. "Yours must be Raisins." She walked away, chuckling. At first, he didn't get it, but then he glanced down. "Oh, funny, Red." He staggered, tried to keep upright, and fell on the rubber mat. She looked over her shoulder, then came back to help him up. "Now's not the time to go macho," Red said. Stryker took her hand and stood, leaning on her shoulder for a moment. "You good?" she asked. "Yeah. Come on, the lockers are over here." Stryker followed her across the open space, past other chambers along the metal bulkheads. 2 of the pods were already open, but 5 still had people suspended inside. The red emergency lights swirled over them, illuminating them every 2 seconds. In the glow, Stryker noticed that 2 of the lids had cracked. The light passed again, revealing shriveled bodies suspended by wires. They looked like real human-sized raisins. No, make that prunes. "Jesus," he whispered. "Call it fate," Red said. "We were lucky. They weren't." He walked over to check the nameplates. Corporal Damon King and Corporal Jennifer Huff. Maybe not lucky. They were our engineers. Stryker grabbed a flashlight and angled it toward the ceiling, playing it over cracks in the paneling. Then he shined the light at 2 more open pods across the chamber. "Where's the other person?" he asked. "Other person?" Red raised a brow. He raked the light over the 2 open pods. "Oh, I don't know." She looked around them. "I woke up an hour ago, and I was the only one here. I still can't remember anything but my name, and a few dreams I had." Stryker put a hand on his head. He couldn't remember anything but his name and the dreams either. But that was a side effect of cryosleep. And judging by the condition of this place, something had gone terribly wrong, probably affecting their life support systems. He went to a locker that bore his name, ran a finger over the surface, hoping it would bring some sort of memories. Sergeant Nate Stryker. He knew he was a soldier, but seeing his name and rank didn't bring back any memories as it should have. The wailing of the siren didn't help. "Can you turn that accursed thing off?" he barked. Red held up the data screen. "I'll try again, but so far I've only had access to the life support systems. The control room in this bunker is fucked." "What do you mean, bunker?" "I think we're underground." She started to walk away, leaving Stryker to dress himself. He hadn't even really thought about where they were, but he couldn't grasp why some asshole would seal his team into cryopods in a bunker. He finished putting on his fatigues and left the cryo bay. "You have entered the medical bay," a robotic voice informed him. Stryker passed perfectly made white beds, life support machines, and cabinets stocked with medical supplies. He entered a hallway and saw Red sitting in a chair in the first room. "Hey," he said, pushing open the door. She didn't look up from the dust-covered dashboard before her. A rectangular glass window above the equipment had some sort of black moss-like substance covering the other side, blocking their view. Stryker rubbed it with his palm, trying to see what was beyond. "None of this shit works," Red said. "We're going to have to find the backup power." "How much of this place have you explored?" "Not much. I found a stairwell that I took up a few floors, but there were no doors in the first few flights of stairs, so I came back down." They heard coughing in the distance, faint, issuing from the cryo chambers. Red jumped up, and Stryker hurried back with her to find the newest freed crew member on the floor, back arched, gasping for air. Stryker bent down next to the pale young Asian woman with a wet mop of black hair. "Breathe," he said. "Just breathe." The woman's dark eyes flitted from Stryker to Red, now approaching with a medical pack. She opened it and rummaged inside. "They're going to be fine," Stryker said. The woman grabbed his hand as her eyes rolled back and she started convulsing, flopping about like a fish on land. "Hurry, she's going into shock," Stryker said. Red didn't seem anxious at all. She pulled out a syringe, checked the dose, and jabbed it into the struggling woman's thigh like a seasoned pro. The woman shot up with a loud gasp. At almost the exact moment, the ground trembled. The walls shook, and the liquid in the other chamber filled with bubbles. "What the hell is happening?" Stryker asked. A powerful tremor shook the entire room, and dust sifted down from the ceiling. Another pod cracked, the glass spiderwebbing. "We have to get them out of here. Do it! Activate them all now!" Stryker found the source of the deep voice, a familiar, clean-shaven face with hard green eyes. Unlike Red and Stryker, this man wore a vacuum-rated armor suit with a curved tactical pack.
"The facility is compromised," the man growled. "We have to get everyone out of the pods and find a way out."
The rest of his words were drowned out by another quake, but Stryker remembered that voice now. And he remembered the man now, too. This was the lieutenant from his dream in that orphanage. Lieutenant Alex Fox. And looking over at Red, he recognized her, too. She had saved his life in that trench, and he had saved hers, right before the laser rounds melted through his armor and vaporized his heart. But that moment was the last in his mind, as if he had died and then suddenly woken up. "I don't think we were supposed to wake up yet," Red said. "I'd bet a paycheck those quakes activated our pods prematurely." She braced herself as another tremor shook the walls, and more fine dust sifted down from the overhead. The quakes were severely messing with their cryo-recovery, often referred to as frostbite, because the cocktail of drugs in their system began breaking down, causing a burning sensation often associated with recovering from frostbite. Only this wasn't just a toe or the tip of her nose. It was her entire body. Normally they would all be resting and undergoing a litany of tests and treatment. But with no power and one team member still stuck in a pod, Red just had to focus through the pins and needles prickling her flesh while she worked. She tapped at the data screen to override the computer that controlled the malfunctioning pod. 3 other members of the team were watching nearby. Corporal Dallas Clark, a husky but muscular man with a tuft of orange hair and a gnarly scar over a prosthetic eye, was slowly figuring out how to get into his clothes. He muttered to himself in an East London accent about being cold as a well-digger's arse. Cassie Sanchez got her fatigues on, then stuck a pair of black-rimmed eyeglasses on her nose. She was maybe 5 feet tall and young, probably in her 30s, roughly the same age as Red, Stryker, and Dallas. An older woman with a strong jaw, Ji Mian, stood in front of a cracked pod. Inside was a man named Fei Mian, Ji's husband or brother, Red supposed. But she didn't know any of these people except for Sergeant Stryker and Lieutenant Fox. Both soldiers were off exploring the other 10 floors of the station while Red tried to get Fei out of the pod using the handheld life support computer. He was still alive, suspended in the warm water, his vitals elevated but stable. Ji put a hand on the glass and looked at Red. "Why isn't his pod opening?" she asked. "I don't know," Red replied. The computer wasn't responding to her commands no matter what she tried. She decided to up the dosage of drugs and try to yank Fei from REM sleep, hoping that might drain the water and pop the lid. A few moments later, his body jerked and his eyelids flickered open. "Fei!" Ji said, putting her hand on the glass. Fei squirmed and tried to lift a hand. "Come on," Red said. "Open, you son of a bitch!" Ji turned and reached for the data screen. "Give it here." Red shoved it at her, glad not to be responsible. "I'm going to find Stryker and the lieutenant," she said.
"I'm in,"
Dallas said. "Me too," Cassie piped up. Grabbing their backpacks, the 3 set off into a connecting corridor as another tremor rumbled through the underground facility. "Aftershocks, I think," Cassie said. "Must have been a major quake. Hard to say without Engineers King and Hoff to give us a better idea of what's happening."
"Maybe the surface is getting pounded with bombs," Dallas said.
Red shook her head. "Doesn't sound like bombs to me." She shined her flashlight down a narrow corridor leading away from the medical bay and control room. Dust motes floated lazily in the beam.
"I get the feeling we've been down here a while," Dallas said.
Red suspected the same thing. They had to be underground. The question she wanted answered more than any other concerned the cryo chambers. Why freeze them? "Does anyone remember anything yet?" she asked.
"I have a few memories, but I don't know anyone here," Dallas said.
Cassie rubbed her forehead. "Me either, but that's common with cryosleep. It'll start coming back. We just need to be patient." The alarm abruptly stopped wailing, and banks of overhead lights clicked on, illuminating a long corridor. "Looks like they found the backup power," Red said. "Come on." She trotted ahead to the next intersection, where she nearly ran smack into someone wearing Federation armor.
"Whoa! Easy," Stryker said.
"Where's the LT?" she asked.
"This way." We found a way to switch on auxiliary power. But there's something you gotta see."
Stryker took them down the right corridor, past several open doors, to a barracks, mess hall, and other living spaces. He stopped at an armory. The racks of small arms and equipment were covered in dust. Cracks ran across the concrete walls. Above them, a fissure in the ceiling looked like a black lightning bolt.
"Armor up and grab a weapon and ammo," Stryker said. "And pronto, all right?"
He left them again, and Red found a locker with her name on it. Without even thinking, she pulled back her sleeve and held her forearm up to the pad. "Welcome back, Corporal Riddle," a rough, Kiwi-accented female voice said through unseen speakers. The locker door popped open, revealing an armored chest rig with lights built into the shoulders. Beside it was a carefully folded neoprene suit with a breathable skin. Something in her mind clicked, and she remembered putting this on before. Many times. She felt as if she'd just found a long-lost treasure. After getting into the undersuit, she heaved the chest rig over her head. The elbow, knee, and shin armor went on next. Then she strapped on the left wrist guard, whose cuffs held an array of ammunition. Finally, she pulled on the right wrist guard. Its integrated computer operated the suit's life support systems, adapting to rapidly changing conditions with instantaneous shifts in cooling, heating, and camouflage. Dallas mumbled something under his breath as he put his armor on. She noticed a familiar symbol on his helmet. It was the same symbol she had on her wrist and gear. 2 white dice, flecked with blood, set in front of a playing card. The Jack of Diamonds, whose Jack was an armored soldier holding a smoking gun in one hand and a tactical knife in the other. Death dealers. The name sparked in her a sense of pride that she wanted desperately to understand. "It'll come back," she whispered. "Yes, it will," Cassie replied. She put on a red and black suit. The armored chest rig had a white medical cross and the red shoulder armor. Footfalls echoed down the hallway, and both Stryker and Fox emerged in the open doorway. The soldiers all came to attention, 2 of them still half-dressed.
"As you were. And make haste," Fox said. "We've got to get topside before this whole shitpot collapses like a punctured lung. But first I have to figure out our mission."
The team geared up and headed back toward the cryo chambers, double-timing it after Lieutenant Fox. The clatter of boots on concrete echoed down the corridors all the way to the control room door.
"Dallas, Cassie, go check on Z," Fox ordered. "Red, Stryker, with me."
Fox opened the door to the command room. The lights were on, and the data screens on the dashboard were cycling up.
"Oh, damn," Stryker said.
He stepped up to a viewport with Red. Through the filthy glass, she could see the hollow middle of a silo-shaped construct with windows on every level. The massive structure stretched up to a ceiling he couldn't see.
"We must not be the only team here," Stryker said. "We'll know in a second," Fox said.
He raised his wrist and scanned it over an interface. The golden holographic glow of a Maori woman with braided hair and tribal facial tattoos flickered to life. She wore a Federation uniform, the cuff covering all but the wrist and hand of a prosthetic arm. The AI looked at them each in turn. "Hello. My name is Kaya, and I'm the support AI for Station 10. What can I—" Fox didn't hesitate.
"I need to know our mission."
"I'm currently rebooting my systems," she said. "Please stand by." Dallas walked up to the shimmering amber hologram.
"Anyone else recognize this lady? She seems familiar."
The AI looked familiar to Red, too, though she couldn't say why or how. "Can't you speed this up?" she asked. "Corporal Riddle, have some patience," Kaya said. "I'm not a grunt soldier. I have a brain, and I need time to work my magic."
"Hey, mate, I take offense to that grunt comment," Dallas remarked.
"And I could care less."
"Great. An AI with an attitude. Just what we need," Stryker muttered.
"I didn't volunteer to be an AI," Kaya said.
Fox snapped his fingers. "Not sure if you noticed, but this place is about to collapse, so hurry up downloading or rebooting or whatever it is you're doing, and tell me what we're here to do."
Yeah. Give me a few more." Kaya's holographic eyelids fluttered a moment, then popped open. "Your mission is to accompany Dr. Cassie Sanchez and both engineers, Corporals Damon King and Jennifer Huff, to the surf.
Damon and Jennifer are deceased, Fox interrupted.
I'm sorry to hear that, Kaya replied, in an appropriately rueful tone. However, with some help from the rest of your squad, Dr. Sanchez should still be able to perform some of the key functions.
And what functions are those? Fox asked.
As I was explaining, your job is to head to the surface for testing.
Testing? Dallas asked. There's a training?
It certainly is not a training, Corporal, Kaya said, annoyance in her tone. Your job, your duty, is to test the soil and atmosphere, search for biological life, and document all seismic activity. She paced in front of the group, then paced back. During this time, you are to protect Federation Officer Ji Mian and her husband Fei Mian at all costs, for they and they alone have final command over these test results. She paused for a brief moment. I should inform you that your mission begins in 2 years, 20 days.
Wait, what? Fox said.
Did those quakes affect your hearing, Lieutenant? Or are you asking for a precise number?
God damn, you're real bitty, aren't you? Dallas muttered.
More like bipolar, Red said.
2 years, Stryker said. What do you mean 2 years?
That's when your mission is scheduled to begin, Sergeant, Kaya replied.
That makes no sense, Fox said.
But it does if we woke early, like I thought, Red said.
So what do? Climb back into our pods? Stryker asked. Because you're going to have to stuff me in there if you want me to go back to sleep in this time bomb. Quiet, Fox snapped.
A long, low growl sounded, as if the facility had suddenly woken from a long slumber. A beat passed before the overhead and walls quivered. I don't think that's another aftershock, Red said. The glass panels vibrated, and cracks raced across the panes. One broke away, opening a window to the interior of the silo. Hunks of concrete fell past the window as the structure shook again. Red grabbed a chair to steady herself, and Stryker put a hand against the wall. The floor thumped and trembled beneath their feet, as if a giant were walking toward them.
Everyone back away from the window, Fox said.
Everyone did. Emergency sirens wailed again, and the lights flickered. The quake continued for several agonizing minutes, as pieces of the silo shook loose and plummeted to the bottom, where they crashed with muffled thuds.
Kaya, I need you to open the blast door on level 1, Fox said.
I'm sorry, Lieutenant, but that is not possible.
And why is that?
Because I don't have the authority to open any doors outside this station, and neither do you.
Who does?
That would be Officer Ji Mian or her husband Fei Mian, Kaya said.
Jesus Christ on a hoverbike, Fox growled.
He jerked his chin at Red and Stryker.
Go find them.
As she left the room with Stryker, a violent tremor knocked them both to the floor and shattered the lights. Over the wail of the siren came a female scream of horror.
No! Help! Dallas shouted.
Stryker and Red got up and scrambled back through the medical bay and into the cryo chamber. The screams grew louder, but before Red could see the source, another quake knocked her to the ground. Red pushed herself up as the fissure in the ceiling widened. Loops of wiring tumbled out like viscera from a gut wound. Stryker grabbed Red and yanked her away from a panel that fell like a guillotine blade where she had just stood. A beam buckled overhead, followed by a grunt. Stryker was pinned under the beam, and Red ran back to him.
Go, he said. Get Ji.
Please, Ji screamed. Please help. She was swinging a pipe against the thick glass lid of the closed cryo chamber. Dallas was also there, trying to pry the capsule open and release Fei.
No!
Ji shouted. Fei's body jerked and spasmed in the water. Sparks showered over the side of the pod, and he fell limp inside the chamber, bleeding from his ears and nose. Cassie ran over to pull Ji back, but the woman fought free, making a run for the pod. Hot wires sparked over the ground as Cassie scrambled over. Smoke and the ghastly scent of burned flesh drifted through the room.
Get Ji, or we're never leaving this place, Stryker ordered.
Red ran over, holding up an armored forearm to fend off falling debris. By the time she reached Ji, the woman was on her knees in front of her husband's chamber, sobbing. Sparks rained down, singeing her clothing. Cassie knelt beside her, trying to convince the woman to save herself. Red decided to just grab her, but the small, slender woman was stronger than she looked and fought hard to stay put.
We have to go, Red shouted.
The ground shook again, and the fissure in the ceiling gaped wider, raining down hunks of wall and ceiling tile on the floor behind them. Dallas got a length of pipe under the beam and levered it up enough for Stryker to crawl out.
"Officer Meehan, we have to go," Stryker yelled.
Red and Cassie tried again to grab G, and this time when she fought her way back toward the chamber, Dallas stepped over and scooped her up. The 3 soldiers gathered around the officer, their armored bodies shielding her on the way out of the room as panels crashed down and live wires sparked. Back at the command center, Fox had inserted a memory chip into a data screen.
"Almost done downloading Kaya to our system so we can take her with us," he said. "You got Faye and Xi?"
He stood and saw Xi crying behind them.
"Where's Faye?"
he asked. Red shook her head. Fox didn't pause more than a moment at the news.
"Officer Meehan, I need you to order Kaya to open the doors."
Xi squirmed in Dallas's grip. "We can't leave him," she wailed. "We can't—" Fox got up and strode over to her.
"Officer Meehan, without your authorization, we're all going to die down here. Do you understand me?"
She stopped crying for a moment, looking at him, and then at the other faces around her.
"Tell Kaya to open the blast door on level 1, Fox repeated.
Red touched Xi's arm gently. "Please, you have to." Xi wiped her eyes and said in a low, defeated voice, "Do it, Kaya." "Authorization accepted," replied the AI. "Please proceed to floor 1 for exit to the surface."
"What floor are we on?"
Dallas asked. 103, Kaya replied.
"Shit, we got to climb 103 levels before this place caves in?" "So get moving," Fox said. "And Corporal, shut the hell up. We're getting out of this tomb."
Chapter 2. "Let me go," Xi shouted when they reached the floor 56 landing. She turned and tried to squeeze past the Death Dealer squad. They were moving in single file. With the elevators down, Stryker had led the group up a concrete stairwell that seemed never-ending. He grabbed Xi gently, but firmly enough to keep her from racing back down the stairwell.
"Take it easy," Stryker said.
"Get your hands off me," she snarled. He did as ordered, and Xi pushed past Cassie and Red, pelting down the stairs below. "Faye! Faye! I'm coming!" Xi yelled.
"Dallas, grab her!"
Fox shouted from above. Dallas was running sweep, the rear guard and the last person who could stop her. The laser cannon didn't help matters. He swung it to one side and reached up to grab her with his other hand, but she easily darted past.
"Fucking hell, she's a spider!"
Dallas shouted. Stryker pounded down the stairs after a screaming Xi, finally catching up to her and grabbing her by the shoulder. Dallas was there a moment later, along with Fox, who waved Cassie down to them. "Stop! Let me go!" Xi shouted.
"Hold still,"
Stryker muttered, as Dallas tried to pin her flailing legs.
"Sedate her,"
said the lieutenant. When Cassie hesitated, Fox said,
"That's an order, Doctor. We've wasted enough time."
Stryker and Dallas helped hold Xi down on the concrete stairs, while Cassie rummaged through her medical pack. "Please, let me go back," Xi said.
"Sorry, no can do,"
Dallas grunted. "I'm sorry," Cassie said, "but he would want you to leave him. There's nothing you can do for your husband." Another tremor groaned through the facility.
"Get to it,"
Fox said. No, let me up," Xi shouted. Stryker and Dallas kept her immobilized, while Cassie inserted a needle through a port in the wrist guard on Xi's left arm. She quickly relaxed, still mumbling, Faye, I'm coming, Faye." Dallas handed his laser cannon to Fox, then reached down to gather Xi in his burly arms. "Oh, God," Cassie said. She reached up to her helmet suddenly. Red bent down to check on Cassie. "You good?" Red asked. "Just very lightheaded." Stryker wasn't just worried about Cassie. They were all exhausted from the exertion of the climb and from the cryo-recovery. The gear and packs added another 30 pounds on top of their body armor. With no good idea what they would face on the surface, Fox had ordered them to pack up as much food, medical supplies, electronics, and weaponry as they could carry. If the extra weight and the hangover from cryo-sleep weren't bad enough, they still had the memory gaps to deal with. On top of that, Stryker's head ached from being pinned down in the chamber. He had popped a stimulant from his med pack, hoping it would also help bring back his memory. He still couldn't recall anything besides the dreams. But they had more urgent problems than sorting their past and enduring the disorientation and discomfort from the cryopharmaceuticals breaking down in their muscles. The last round of quakes had knocked off the power, probably for good. If another cluster of tremors hit, the entire silo could pancake, burying them in the dark forever.
"Let's keep moving," Fox said. "Stryker, you take point."
"You got it, LT." Stryker shined his rifle-mounted tack light up the concrete stairwell. In the glow, a large 55 came into focus on a faded sign.
"Almost there, guys,"
he called out.
"Don't lie to us,"
Dallas grunted. They kept slogging up the stairwell, the tap of boots and the clank of armor resonating up the passage. By the time they reached floor 20, G was starting to groan. Stryker turned to see her stirring in Dallas's arms.
"Hey, Doc," he said. "You got anything else to knock her out?"
Cassie reached for the medical pack on her duty belt, then hesitated. "I would advise against that, actually. I already gave her a full dose of sedative, and—"
"Move," Fox said. "No more stops."
Stryker looked back at Red, and she held his gaze a moment before he continued up the stairs. The next few flights were agony on his muscles, which burned with every step. He pushed onward until his tactical light hit the blast door for Depot 1. There were still 10 floors below the surface, but Stryker had to stop to rest.
"Take 5,
he said, panting. The team stopped on the stairs below and pulled out water bottles. As Stryker took a swig, he noticed something on the dusty floor near the door to Depot 1. He put his bottle back in his pack and trained his light on the landing.
"LT,"
Stryker said. Fox sidled past Red.
"Were you up here earlier?"
Stryker whispered to the lieutenant.
"No, I didn't make it this far."
"Someone was here," Stryker said. He angled his light at the ground, following the tracks to the closed door marked Depot 1.
"Yeah, probably another team. What's your point?"
Fox asked.
"Maybe we should check it out, see if we can figure out more about this place and what we're doing here." "You know what we're doing here, Sergeant. Our mission is to check out the surface."
"Sir, I know. But with all due respect, aren't you curious about what this place is?
I don't know about you, but I can't remember anything besides a few things before I woke up in that pod. And I don't want surprises once we get topside. Plus, they look like they could use a quick break."
Stryker nodded to Cassie, Red, and Dallas, with an arm around G. Fox pulled back a metal slide on his wrist armor, exposing the monitor. He punched the button, and a golden hologram of a female AI shot out.
"Kaya, give me the schematics for Depot 1, and any intel you have on what's here."
The AI folded her sinewy arms over her breasts. "I'm sorry, but I—"
"Let me guess. You only have access to Depot 10, Stryker said.
Kaya nodded.
"That's correct, Sergeant."
"Remind me what your purpose is again? Because so far you've done bollocks to help us."
"Look, Sergeant Raisins," she said, "I know this may be a difficult concept for you to grasp, but I'm the support AI for Depot 10 in your squad. Translation? I know your mission, and only your mission."
"The biddy won't even give up to Jen," Dallas said. "I say we turn her off."
"Not going to disagree with you there," Stryker said.
"Go ahead and try,"
Kaya said.
"Cut the shit, damn it," Fox snapped. "You're not helping matters, either of you."
"My apologies, Lieutenant,"
Kaya said. "Sir," said Stryker, "before we get topside, let me check this floor out, collect some intel. We don't know what's up there." Fox thought on it, then nodded.
"All right, son, check it out. Red, you go with him, but the rest of us will keep climbing. Meet at the blast door."
Son. Stryker turned the word over in his mind. It sounded familiar in a way. "Got it, sir," he said. Fox led the rest of the group up the stairs.
"Good luck,"
Dallas said, heaving G against his chest.
"No, Sergeant Stryker, you will not check out the floor," Kaya said. "I do not have authorization to open the door to Depot 1, and neither do you."
Stryker had too bad a headache to deal with this frustration. He hated AIs anyway, although he couldn't remember why. He unslung his laser rifle and charged the weapon. Kaya moved in front of him and tilted her head.
"What are you doing, Sergeant?"
"Giving us access," Stryker said. He fired through the hologram at the door lock. It hissed and clicked open. "See?" he said with a grin. "That wasn't so hard, was it?"
Red chuckled as she unholstered her laser pistol and hit the tack light. She grabbed the door handle.
Ready?
Stryker asked. Red gave her answer by opening the door and casting her light down another long corridor covered in dust and bits of concrete. Stryker came up on her left flank, and together they advanced down the hall. The footprints from the unknown team were still visible, but judging by the layer of dust over the tracks, they'd been left years ago, maybe longer. "Better hurry. Those tremors could kick back in any second," Red murmured. Their beams flitted back and forth in the inky surroundings. Head pounding, Stryker winced as a memory surfaced. A flurry of images played in his mind. One was a recon team, sniper and spotter, trekking through a destroyed building in some battle zone. It was a city in Europe, he remembered, and he was the sniper. The images flickered, and now he was crouched behind a broken window overlooking a bridge across a river. He held up a sniper rifle with a thermal imaging scope and aimed it toward a colossal white Ferris wheel in the distance. This, he knew somehow, was the London Eye. Rubble littered the streets. Smoldering hulls of vehicles glowed in the thermal imaging. He spotted movement and, zooming in on body heat, saw a group of people emerging from a storefront. The first person stopped, then waved the others forward. Smaller bodies came into focus. Children, hurrying after the adult. A voice snapped him out of the memory. "You okay?" Red asked.
"Yeah, I keep having flashbacks," he said.
"Yeah, like what?"
"Memories of war, and this orphanage, and you."
Red looked over at him.
"You remember me, right?" he asked.
"Yes," she replied gingerly.
"I know you saved my life, and I've saved yours."
"I remember."
"But that's the last thing I remember," he said. "Being shot in that trench, then waking up here. Our mission is to test soil and atmosphere and protect some Federation officers. Which doesn't make sense."
"I don't get why Kaya doesn't just tell us."
"I don't think she knows. Either that or she's lying."
The snippets of memory, the battle in the trench, the sniper mission in London, were enough to put some pieces together. They were at war. Stryker shook the questions away as they came up on the first door. It was steel and rusted around the edges. Stryker tried the handle and pushed it open with a loud creak. He strode into the room, playing his light back and forth over an office with an expansive library covered in more dust. A section of wall had collapsed, littering the floor with books. Stryker crouched next to one, shining his light on the yellowed pages of faded text.
"Somebody was into old-ass books," he said.
The next room was a barracks, the beds all neatly made as if the former team had gone off for work and never returned. Lockers had toppled over, but they appeared mostly empty. Stryker and Red went to the cryo chambers. The utter silence unnerved Stryker, and while he was glad the alarms had shut off, the stillness made it seem as if they really were in a tomb. He went to the row of lockers by the open chambers, pausing when he saw the same logo of 2 dice and a jack of diamonds playing card emblazoned on his breastplate.
"Death dealers," he whispered. "Must be part of our platoon, then. Not some other squad."
"I don't know," Red whispered. Stryker tried to open another locker, but the door broke off the hinge and fell to the floor. The clatter and his cursing echoed through the room. "I'm going to check out the command center," Red said.
"Trust nothing."
Stryker continued his search, looking over the dusty bunks, when he found a picture on a nightstand. He picked it up and blew off the dust. It showed a group of soldiers posing among ATVs parked on a mountain trail. He saw several familiar faces. Lieutenant Fox, Dallas, Reddle, and Stryker were all in the image. "Hey, I found something!" Red called out in the distance. Stryker stuck the photo in his vest and ran out of the room. He found her in a command center, where she sat reading from a notepad.
"What is it?"
he asked. "A message."
"What's it say?"
Stryker leaned down to read the faded handwriting. Red held up the notepad. "Hard to make out, but I think it says, 'You are the first of 10 teams, the last hope for humanity. Your mission above the surface will determine the fate of us all.'"
"Wait, first of 10 teams? So that means everyone who came before us is gone?"
Red nodded. "If we're Team 10, then I guess so." She put the pad back on the desk and glanced at Stryker. "I think I know why we're down here," she said.
"Enlighten me."
"We lost the war, then got frozen to wait for the surface to recover before we were redeployed." Stryker swallowed at the implications. Deep down, he had a feeling she was right.
"But if we're years early, that means the surface isn't ready, right?"
Red shrugged. "Only one way to find out," she said. "Let's go see."
"That doesn't look good," Stryker said.
Red looked up at the blast doors almost 500 feet above them. The rest of the team huddled around her, staring at the ladder that ran up the silo's vertical concrete shaft. About halfway up, a bulge in the structure had mangled the ladder, leaving ragged ends of broken rungs like a sundered rib cage. Still, it was in better shape than the ladder on the opposite side of the shaft, which had lost its first 30 feet to a falling concrete slab the size of a dance floor.
"You ought to be bleeding nuts if you think I'm getting my ginger ass up there," Dallas said. "We'll find a way," said Lieutenant Fox.
He turned to Red and Stryker.
"Find anything?"
"We discovered we're one of 10 teams," Stryker said. "Kaya, did you know about that? Or how about you, Officer Meehan?" She looked away, but Kaya stepped forward in her holographic form. "I can confirm that the other teams have all left the facility. You are the last."
"Shite. So it's on us," Dallas said.
"What happened to the other teams?" Cassie asked. They all traded uneasy glances as the weight of that truth hit them. Red shook it off and pointed her light to the top of the shaft, where a broken ladder connected to a mezzanine in front of a blast door. The ladder wasn't going to get them all the way, but with the elevator shaft destroyed, there was no other way up. She explored the walls. Shards of concrete had already broken away, and other sections had cracked enough that climbing them looked like a death wish.
"I'll climb up and see if we can make the ladder secure," Stryker said. "Then I'll drop a rope in case the ladder doesn't hold."
She narrowed her eyes at the man she knew but couldn't remember. What she did know from their limited time together was that he was brave, maybe to a fault. He was also smart as hell and a leader. She liked him, but there was something about him that made her uneasy.
"Red, I want you up there too," he said.
Stryker unslung a gray pack that matched his armor. He opened it and pulled out 2 coiled ropes and a dozen pairs of carabiners joined by short loops of nylon webbing. Rummaging through the gear, Red listened to the hushed conversation between Cassie and G in the corner. From the sounds of it, the doc was doing a good job keeping Officer Meehan calm. "He didn't feel much pain," Cassie said. "He wouldn't have known what was going on. You should take solace in that." "His eyes were open," G stuttered. "Only for a few seconds. Seconds of hell." G lowered her head, tears dropping to the dusty concrete. Red started flaking out the 2 coiled 10mm dynamic ropes, while Stryker hauled out the sling of carabiners, wired stoppers, and double-axle camming devices.
"We'll use the bolts sparingly," Stryker said.
"Roger that." Red took off her tactical gloves and stuffed them into her pack before loading the bolts into the slots around the cuff of her armor. The firing tubes were diverse, permitting modification of the firing barrel to shoot pretty much anything from a tranq dart to a shotgun shell. She grabbed a pair of climbing gloves with grips containing millions of tiny hair-like filaments, modeled after a gecko's feet. She switched her boots for light shoes and took off most of her armor except for her chest rig and knee pads. Lighter now, Red tied into the rope and then secured her helmet. The sidelights flickered to life, and she also turned on the blue LEDs on her shoulder armor. "I'll go first," she said, and slinging the gear over her shoulder, she started up before Stryker could protest. She tested the first rung of the ladder with her full weight. It creaked but held. Then she started up. The section that bulged outward was maybe 200 feet above the deck. About 20 feet up, she pressed a wrist guard against the wall and fired a bolt into the concrete just left of the ladder. Then, after clipping a carabiner through the ring of the bolt, she clipped the rope through the carabiner. She worked her way up fast, firing 3 more bolts in the first 50 feet. Tack light beams from below followed her up each rung, throwing dim and shifting shadows on the curving surface.
"Good work,"
Stryker called out. He sounded closer now, and following the voice, she saw why. Across the silo, he had somehow skittered his way up past the missing section of ladder, establishing himself on the first intact rung where he hauled up his gear bag on the rope. and he scampered up the first 60 feet of ladder, anchored himself, and hauled the gear bag up another pitch. By skipping the bolts and climbing free, he'd almost caught up to her. "You're like a fly," she said.
"Maybe more like an ant," he replied.
The playful exchange brought back a memory that hit her like a blast of wind. As she banged in another bolt, a memory surfaced from many years ago. The quickening images played in her mind, bright and crisp as video. She was one of 10 cadets on a training mission in the mountains. Stryker took point, guiding them up the treacherous terrain. Eventually they had come to a small village nestled in a canyon. The friendly locals had fed the trainees and offered them a safe place to sleep. Drones had roused them in the middle of the night. She had woken to one of those locals holding a knife to her throat. A shadow had passed over her and the masked attacker, and the man's head suddenly snapped to the side. His limp body fell away to the sight of Stryker, standing over her.
"Did he hurt you?"
he asked. Red opened her eyes to Dallas, shouting up.
"You good, Red?"
he asked. A light speared over her position. She nodded and kept climbing, her heart pounding. The memories were slowly coming back to her, and nearly all of them were awful. Her fingers tingled with adrenaline when a rung snapped loose. She brought her foot up to the next rung, holding the sides of the ladder as if it were a lifeboat in rough seas.
"You good?"
Fox called up. "Yeah." She didn't stop climbing until she was right under the section that had twisted outward from a bulging piece of concrete. She raised her other wrist and hit 3 buttons in the armored cuff. A sharp blue flame shot out. "Watch out below!" she shouted. Then she went to work, cutting the twisted pieces flush and letting them fall away and crash to the landing. After turning off the blowtorch, she went back to firing bolts to create a makeshift ladder of rope loops to get around the missing section. "Almost there," Red muttered to herself. She took a moment to rest her fatigued arms and take inventory of the remaining carabiners and bolts. Her heart had just started to recover when she felt a rumble. It started as just a vibration in the ladder rails and rungs, but escalated into a tremor that popped a rusted bolt out of the ladder below. She looked over at Stryker. Dust burst from cracks spiderwebbing the concrete around him. "Stryker!" she yelled. "Wrap down!" Her words were cut off by the deep growl of the quake. She held on to the ladder, watching in horror as hunks of concrete broke off from the top of the shaft. With no other option, she jumped, swinging under a shower of debris. A piece hit her right arm. It felt like being shot with an arrow. Another piece smacked her helmet, making her head bounce off the wall. She dangled from the rope, swinging back and forth like the pendulum on an old-fashioned grandfather clock. The beams from her helmet shone on the wall where Stryker had been, but she saw only his rope snaking downward. Her rope twisted, and she found herself staring into the void, with the back of her armor scraping on the wall. As she finally came to a stop, she realized that the tremor had ended. Voices called out below her.
"Red, you okay?"
It was Fox. His beam shone up at her, blinding her momentarily. "Where's Stryker?" she shouted back.
"Here."
The voice seemed to come from above her. She cocked her head back and saw him standing on the ledge of broken concrete 20 feet above her. The wash of relief surprised her, and again she wondered about their past. But there was no time for that. They had to keep climbing. Turning her body, she jammered up the rope to the rungs she had been forced to jump from earlier. Using her last 5 bolts, she finished securing the rope to the wall on the left side of the ladder, all the way to the platform. Stryker was crouched there, reaching a hand down.
"Nice moves,"
he said. She smiled and took his hand.
"Your arm,"
he said. She held it up to examine the deep gash that had cut through her suit. Blood welled out of the tunnel in her flesh.
"Hold on, I've got you,"
Stryker said. He crouched to dig in his medical pack. With clear glue, he closed off the wound while she gritted her teeth at the oval steel door with the Federation logo. They'd finally reached the top of this place. She wondered what lay on the other side. "Thanks," she said. Stryker put away his kit and turned on the comm channel.
"LT, tell Officer Meehan to order Kaya to open the blast door," he said. "It's still closed."
Red could hear faint voices below. The AI's golden glow appeared on the landing where the others had gathered amid the debris.
"Sergeant, report what you find,"
Fox said over the comms.
We'll stay here until you confirm it's secure.
Copy that, sir. Stryker unslung his laser rifle, and Red did the same, opting for the greater firepower just in case something was waiting for them. She planted her foot in a defensive position, heart thumping in anticipation. The door split down the middle and creaked open into darkness. Stryker shined his light down yet another long corridor. Unlike the others, this wasn't made of concrete. A metal platform extended through a circular structure with curved beams. Looks like the engine room of a star carrier, Stryker said. But they both knew this wasn't the engineering one found inside a spaceship. Weapons up, they advanced, keeping their lights trained on the end of the tunnel, where another blast door awaited.
Sir, we got a second door, Stryker said. Tell Officer Meehan to order Kaya to open this one too.
A few steps later, a sliver of carmine light broke through the darkness. Red and Stryker halted, side by side. The red glow expanded, filling the tunnel. On me, Stryker said. He set off toward the brightening glow. She opened her wrist panel to tap on the computer that controlled her helmet, darkening the visor against the bright sun. Then she shouldered her rifle and aimed at the glow. Her arm throbbed as she got closer, but she ignored the pain. Wind whistled into the bright tunnel. Stryker pushed on through the blasting grid, not stopping until he got to the tunnel's far end, where he stopped to stare at a red alien landscape. Holy shit, he said. He lowered his rifle as Red stepped up. They looked out over a vast desert terrain the color of Mars. Reddish-gray clumps of stratocumulus scudded over, moving fast as the sun burned through them. She squinted, the glare so bright it hurt her eyes even with the tinted visor. A sharp stab raced up her arm from the wound, but she kept looking for any sign of civilization. It seemed there was nothing out there. Where the hell are we? Red said.
Looks like a wasteland, Stryker replied.
Red grimaced from a sudden pain that started as a burning sensation in her arm. Then the burn intensified, as if her arm was boiling. She looked down at bubbles forming along the glued edges of the wound. Her vision blurred, then her mind.
Red? You seeing this? Stryker asked.
She blinked, tried to reach out, but staggered and then collapsed on her back, with a view of the blast door behind them.
Red!
Stryker crouched next to her and shouted over the comms. The reply was distant, muffled, as if she were eavesdropping on a hushed conversation. Her vision cleared, revealing the Federation logo on the blast door, and also something she had not seen earlier. Arc Station 2. The words meant something to Red, though she wasn't sure what. Her eyes looked up at the bulging clouds rolling across the fiery sky. Chapter 3.
What's an arc? Fox asked Kaya. And what the hell happened out there?
Stryker listened to the conversation while the team huddled in the closed-off tunnel. Cassie worked on Red, who was now unconscious. Thanks to the corporal, the others had climbed the elevator shaft by way of the rope Red had secured. Now they were all sneaking surreptitious glances at the blast door, as though imagining what lay on the other side and what had injured Red.
Kaya, Fox said again. What the hell happened?
That is for you to find out, Kaya replied. Your mission.
You're telling me you have no idea? Fox said.
I've told you everything you're authorized to know. My orders are very strictly monitored, Lieutenant, and I can't—
I'm ordering you to tell me what's going on.
Your orders won't work, said another, softer voice. It was Federation Officer Meehan. She sat on a pack, head down, grief-stricken over the death of her husband.
Why won't my orders work? Fox asked.
Because Kaya answers to me, G replied. That is correct, Lieutenant, Kaya said. Please don't take it personally.
You're both withholding critical information that puts my team at risk, Fox growled. Red has already been injured by something out there.
Which is why we need to continue the testing, G added, finally looking up. Outside those doors is a hostile environment, as you now see. This arc was supposed to protect us. You see how well that worked.
Arc?
Dallas asked. Yes, this bunker. Stryker bent down next to Red and Cassie.
She's going to be okay, right?
He asked. The doctor was on one knee, using a med wand to scan Red's entire body from foot to head. She's unconscious, but she's going to be fine, Cassie said. What happened to her? Ji asked. Do we know yet? From what I can deduce so far, allergic reaction and infection from exposure to the atmosphere. Cassie holstered the wand and pulled out a data screen. I need to do more tests, but preliminary results conclude that the atmosphere is a mixture of oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and methane.
Is it breathable?
Fox asked. Cassie checked the data on her screen a second time. The oxygen levels are 19%, which means you're sucking in about 10% less of it than you would on Earth, and the carbon dioxide level is 10 times what it should be, which could explain the temperatures.
Can we breathe this air or not?
She bit the inside of her lip. I wouldn't advise trying without a helmet. Besides, it's 110 degrees Fahrenheit.
So basically it's a sauna with air that will kill us, Dallas said. Dr. Sanchez, do you have any idea what happened outside?
Fox asked.
Like, why is the sky red?
Dallas asked. Could be any of a handful of explanations.
Give me a few theories, Fox said.
Cassie looked to the AI. Kaya, correct me if I'm wrong, because this isn't my specialty, but my theory is that the color of the sky has to do with ultraviolet irradiation, or perhaps cosmic rays. Carbon compounds present, carbon dioxide, methane, in combination with nitrogen, and perhaps water vapor. Much like the Great Red Spot on Jupiter, Kaya said. Fox shook his head.
How can that be?
I'm not sure, but perhaps a solar event, or a weapon of mass destruction, Cassie said. Kaya remained silent. Officer Meehan, do you have any ideas? Cassie asked. Ji was as tight-lipped as the AI.
Classified, huh?
Fox asked. He paced in frustration. Stryker was also losing patience. Not remembering much of anything, and not knowing where they were, was starting to piss him off. He patted Red on the shoulder pad.
Take care of her,
he said to Cassie. Where are you going?
To figure out what you can't, and locate the other teams.
Fox propped his rifle up on his shoulder.
Hold up just a minute, Sergeant.
Sir, respectfully requesting permission to go with Dallas outside and explore while you all stay here.
Wait a second, Dallas said. Both of you shut up, Fox said. I need to think.
We're it, said the soft voice of the AI. Ji stood up and let out another sigh.
We're it?
Dallas asked. Yes, the last of 10 teams. The others are gone, and have failed to execute the same orders we have now, Ji explained.
All the more reason for us to know what happened out there so we don't end up like the other teams, Stryker said.
Listen, Ji said quietly. What I'm about to tell you is classified. But you need to know. All of you. Stryker steeled himself for the truth. The Earth we all knew is gone, destroyed by a long war and cosmic events that we couldn't stop, Ji said. Our mission is to find a place to re-inhabit, which is why your job is so important, Dr. Sanchez. My job is simply to report your findings if we determine there are habitable locations here. Cassie pushed her thick black glasses higher on her nose, staring blankly ahead. Everyone on the landing seemed to be in shock now, except for Ji.
We lost the war, Stryker finally said.
Kaya flickered, and when she reappeared she was wearing the same armor as the soldiers. We all lost the war, Sergeant, she said. My people, your people, all of humanity.
I don't remember, Fox replied. But that doesn't change the fact that we have a mission to carry out, and a damned important one from the sound of it. Maybe the most important we've ever had.
Stryker licked his dry lips. Important was an understatement. It was possible the human race was nearing extinction, and this little team might be the key to saving the species. I know things sound bad, Kaya said, but you lucked out by waking up early and escaping your pods. You must keep it together if you are to have any hope of completing a mission that everyone else has failed in.
So everyone else is dead? Dallas asked. That's fucking inspiring to hear.
You wanted the truth? Kaya said. Now you know, thanks to Officer Meehan. Fox said to Stryker,
Sergeant, you and Corporal Clark will use the scanning equipment to get better samples.
That's my job, Cassie said.
We can't risk sending you out there until we know what we're dealing with, Doctor. We already lost both engineers. I'd rather not lose you too.
I'll go with you, Sergeant, Kaya said. I'm fully capable of traveling with your interface and connecting to your HUD.
Nah, I think I'll pass on that, Stryker said. Thanks, though.
Dallas looked as if he wanted to protest, but he kept quiet. Cassie pulled out a black device that looked like an ancient Geiger counter.
It's a flora, fauna, and atmospheric scanner, FFA. Just hold, click, and record, she said. Take several samples from different locations and send up the drone, too.
You got it, Stryker said.
Are you sure you wouldn't like me to accompany you, Sergeant? Kaya asked.
Yes, very, Stryker said, nodding. No offense.
He put the device in his pack, which already contained a small drone in a crate. He bent down next to Red.
Hang in. You're going to be fine, he said.
Dallas waited in front of the sealed door until the rest of the team had put on their gear to protect them from exposure to the atmosphere. Kaya stood in front of the Federation logo but vanished as the doors clicked open.
Report everything over the comms. You've got 8 hours of oxygen reserves, Fox said. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks, Dallas replied, the sarcasm unmistakable.
Stryker said nothing and slipped outside. He turned his visor shield back on and started the trek along a ledge on the steep red bluff overlooking the cracked desert terrain. Mounded humps of red dirt stretched as far as he could see, like waves on a frozen ocean. The path curved, and Stryker switched on his scanners, searching for life in the chimney of rocks rising above them. After a scan of the desert below and another scan of the footpath, his HUD reported what he already knew. The only living things out here were Dallas and him. It suddenly occurred to Stryker that they could be 2 of the last men on Earth. He shook the thought off. Not possible. But why the cryo chambers and bunker? Something had happened to this planet, and it wasn't just the war.
Officer Meehan and Kaya are still holding stuff from us, Stryker said. Well, no shite, Sarge, Dallas said. We're just bloody fat guinea pigs. What did you expect?
Stryker nodded. They were both soldiers. It was their job to conduct missions without a lot of intel. But this mission was different. He stopped for a moment, scanning the terrain. What if this was the end of the world? Did he have a family? That memory from the orphanage puzzled him. If he did have family, they'd either abandoned him or died in the war.
Sarge?
Dallas asked. Sorry, Stryker replied. He kept going, trying to bury those troubling thoughts. As they advanced, he searched for tracks of the 10 former teams, hoping to find someone who might guide them. The trail eventually carved into the mountains, forming a tunnel under the jagged peaks and the red stratocumulus that churned above them. Judging by the movements and tactics which came to him so naturally, it seemed the training from his days fighting for the Federation was ingrained in his mind, even though he couldn't remember much of it. Dallas moved with calculated precision behind him, pointing the long barrel of the laser cannon up and down while supporting the butt against his hip and holding the lateral grip in his left hand. Stryker was glad to have the man along and packing the firepower. In the hands of someone who knew how to use it, the weapon could take out a small army, and he had a feeling Dallas was a virtuoso with the weapon. Moving between columnar hoodoos of rock, he rounded a boulder in the middle of the trail. The corridor widened before veering off into 3 different paths. He went for the middle one because it was widest. The path began to slope, and they descended to a lookout over a valley carved into the mountainous terrain. Stryker switched the scope from short range to long range to search the valley floor. A dried-up riverbed snaked through the soot-blackened dirt. A few clusters of spindly thorn bushes grew along the banks, but there was no sign of life. Concussions sounded in the distance, one after another, each clap louder than the last.
Something's wonky up there,
Dallas said. Stryker looked up to where the sound seemed to be originating. It sounded almost like bombs going off. The 5th thunderclap was the last, echoing until it faded to nothing.
I got a really bad feeling, Dallas said. That crazy-ass sky, the quakes, and now whatever that tosh is.
Just focus on the mission, said Stryker. Sooner we get these tests done, sooner we get back to the Ark. He pulled out the FFA scanner Cassie had given him and held it up. The monitor chirped several times before the screen flared with scrolling data. With no idea what any of it meant, he simply logged it. Then he unpacked the drone from its carry crate and launched it from the top of the cliff.
syncing the camera to his HUD so he could watch the ascent. The rotors on the four wings of the small craft hummed as it climbed into the roiling red soup above them. Dallas held security, watching the valley below for hostiles while Stryker monitored the drone. It took a few minutes to reach 2,000 feet, where it was now just a dot to the naked eye, but he could see the masses and waves of red clouds on his HUD closing in. The drone broke through the barrier and disappeared like a bullet into soft flesh. The feed on his subscreen turned completely red. "Let's keep going," he said. "I want to get some soil samples while the drone takes more readings." He searched for a way down into the valley, and finally discovered a small trail that led through the maze of boulders and rocky slopes. The wailing wind subsided as they descended 400 feet into the canyon. The barren ground crunched under Stryker's boots, and he looked down to see he was leaving tracks. He bent down to test the soil with the FFA scanner, pushing the tip of the antenna into the dirt. On his HUD, the drone's feed swirled red. The handheld screen flashed with data, and he packed it away. Picking up his laser rifle, he continued the trek. At 3,000 feet, the drone feed abruptly switched off.
"Worthless hunk of junk," Stryker said. "What?" Dallas asked. "The drone. I lost the feed. Can you bring it back?"
Stryker flipped his wrist guard back to enter the commands, hoping the signal would reach. There was no use waiting around. The drone had a lock on his location and would find them. Keeping to the scree slopes at the edge of the valley, the two men went about their search and scans. But there was still no living thing, no bird or even an insect. "Place is a dead zone," he said. At the end of the valley, a trail led back into the mountains. "I'm going in for a look," Stryker said.
"Sure you don't want me to take a gander?"
Dallas asked. "Yes, I'll go. Just cover me." Dallas nodded once and raised his laser cannon at the rock teeth above. Stryker set off for the trench in the center of the canyon. When he got there, he shuffle-slid in a standing glissade down the scree slope. He took out the FFA scanner and lowered it to the dirt, but hesitated before taking a sample. Keeping low, he crept over some sticks protruding from the dry, cracked riverbed.
"Sergeant Stryker,"
Fox's voice hissed in his earpiece. The comm crackled, and the transmission cut off before he could respond. Stryker waited a beat, then put his rifle down and drew his knife, using the blade to unearth what looked like a bone. Human, from the look of it. A femur, and a pelvis, and then a rib cage. Whoever it was had died long ago. A bit more digging uncovered a dull Federation wing logo and lieutenant insignia. He used his gloves to rub off the grime, but couldn't read the name, only an O. He put the artifact in a pouch on his duty belt.
"What do we have here?" he whispered.
The dull yellow stripes and gilled caps of mushrooms grew inside the skull's eye sockets and open mouth. He picked one up in his finger, but it disintegrated at his touch. His earpiece crackled again, this time from Dallas.
"Sarge, better get back here."
Stryker climbed up the soft riverbank, losing his footing several times. After doing a quick scan, he took off in a sprint. Dallas had crouched and aimed his weapon across the valley. Stryker took up position on the right, behind a rock.
"What?"
he asked.
"I thought I saw something, but whatever it was, it's gone now."
Stryker scoped the cliffs.
"You find anything?"
Dallas asked. "Skeletal remains and some long-dead fungal matter."
"What?"
Dallas lowered his laser cannon.
"You found bloody bones? Like human bones?"
"Yeah. Probably one of the other team members from years ago." Stryker stood and motioned to keep going.
"Wait, where are we going?"
Dallas asked. "To check out whatever you saw."
"We're supposed to test shit, not go on a hunt, Sarge."
"Something killed the other team, and if we don't figure that out, we could end up with mushrooms growing out of our eye sockets."
"Mushrooms?"
He raised orange brows behind his visor.
"This is some messed up shite, mate."
"Stop talking and move." Dallas hoisted the laser cannon back up on his shoulder.
"Goddamn, Stryker. I'm remembering more now. You're always the guy that tries to get me killed."
"They are called the Death Dealers, right?" The corporal glanced down at the logo on his armor.
"Yeah, I suppose that's true."
"Would you also agree you're a pain in my ass?"
"Bollocks!"
Dallas gave a nervous laugh that was cut off by a loud humming. They both looked up as a black dot plummeted toward them, crashing in a heap 20 feet away. Stryker ran over, but Dallas beat him there, stopping a few feet away.
"Oh, shite. Damn thing's in shambles," Dallas stuttered.
Stryker crouched and unsheathed his knife again. With a blade, he plucked a glistening strand of red off the mangled wing of the drone. It looked like a blood vessel, but when he held it up for a better look, it started to squirm and latched onto the blade.
"It's growing," Stryker said. "Gross, man. It's got warts or something."
Stryker flicked the strand onto the dirt, and it came wriggling like an enraged worm toward the two men. Dallas jumped back and aimed his cannon at it.
"Calm down. It's not going to hurt us," Stryker said. "Just a worm."
"Yeah, a worm. From the bloody sky." Dallas stepped back again as the creature kept coming.
"You think it can fly or something?"
"No idea, man." Stryker bent down to examine it with the tip of his knife.
"Whoa, what are you doing?"
Dallas said. "Bringing it back with us for tests."
"That sounds like a really shitty idea to me,"
Dallas said. "It's our job. I have a feeling Dr. Sanchez is going to want to see this thing. Whatever it is." Chapter 4. Red dreamt of war. A war that had spread like a virus across the world, sparing not a single country or people. A war fought over dwindling resources that sent billions of migrants fleeing death, poverty, and drought. A war fought in a time when technology should have helped fix these problems. Instead, it had been harnessed to expedite the killing. In the vivid dream, she sat in the fat belly of one of those instruments of death, a Federation transport aircraft called a Penguin, which held a team of death dealers in the troop hold. Helmets were bowed, some in prayer, others grabbing a few minutes of shut-eye as the bird flew under the cover of darkness. The first golden rays of sunrise split the horizon, capturing the silhouettes of a dozen more penguins packed full of Federation shock soldiers. The infantry version of the death dealers. Wearing power armor, they were almost always the first boots on the ground in a war zone. One of those penguin silhouettes burst into flame, as if the sun itself had exploded. The fireball turned to smoke, and like that, they were in it. Sidewinder missiles pounded the penguin dropships ahead, slamming into the light armor in brilliant explosions that rocked the hulls. Near the cockpit, Fox barked orders at the two pilots, while Stryker spoke calmly on the channel to the grunts in the troop hold, including Red and Dallas. Panic screams rang out. One of them came from Red and was quickly silenced by a horrendous crash. A glowing hole the size of a hatch suddenly appeared in the rear hull as a wave of fire consumed the soldiers. Red closed her eyes instinctively and felt the heat wash over her power armor. When she opened them again, 4 of her comrades were gone, sucked out of the hull. The Penguin spun out of control.
"Brace yourself,"
someone shouted.
"We're going down,"
yelled another.
"Hold us steady,"
Fox screamed. Laser bolts sizzled through the hull. As if the rocket detonation weren't enough, the enemy didn't want to chance a crash landing and potential survivors. Red grabbed a handhold, gritting her teeth. The pilots managed to pull out of the tailspin, but the hull shook like the tail of a rattlesnake, no doubt foreshadowing what was about to happen.
"We have to bail,"
Stryker shouted. He activated the electromagnets on his boots and worked his way over to the hull. He gestured for the soldiers to leap through the shimmering portal into the magenta sky. One by one, they jumped out of the screaming dropship. When it was Dallas's turn, he hesitated.
"Wait,"
he yelled.
"Wait, just—"
Stryker grabbed Dallas and shoved him out. Next came Red, who didn't need a push. Twisting as she fell, she looked above as the Penguin took more rounds. 3 more penguins were in the air, all of them diving to escape, trails of smoke following them toward the golden glow of sunrise. The armor on her arm slowly turned black with a hint of purple to camouflage her against the cloudless sky. On her HUD, she saw the infrared tags for Stryker and then Fox, who leaped just as the Penguin went back into a tailspin. Red fought her way into a nosedive with her hands at her side. The other 10 surviving members of her team did the same thing, their bodies arrowing toward teal waters and beachy islands made in the shape of a palm tree. In the distance, the sun rose over one of the world's most expensive and technologically advanced cities, now simmering like a field of cooling lava. The only thing Red could see still standing was the space elevator that towered into the sky. A map bloomed onto her HUD, and Fox marked a landing zone, She looked past the translucent map to search for the spot. Smoke provided a screen over the zone on a beachfront where a small fleet of destroyers had already arrived. As Red speared through the sky, she saw that they weren't Federation, but allies, New Zealand ships, judging by their sleek design. The Australians were here too, along with the Chinese, fighting side by side for the first time in history. Red choked out a scream of surprise as a flurry of laser bolts, appearing as brilliant colored lines of infinite length, lanced through her diving team's little section of sky. Dallas avoided the shots, but another soldier went poof in a spray of red. Their position blown, Fox marked a new LZ, and the team began to veer off from the beaches, heading inland toward another area where Allied forces were advancing, or else hunkered down, it was hard to tell.
"Get ready for a fight," Stryker said over the comms. "We're landing behind enemy lines."
Below, several soldiers deployed their chutes, the black canopy seeming to yank them back up into the sky. Red maneuvered into a stable falling position, arms and legs out. Then she reached over and tapped the button to deploy her chute. But nothing happened. "You gotta be fucking kidding me!" she shouted, not realizing her channel was on.
"What's wrong?"
Stryker replied. "My chute!" She tried not to panic, but not even her power armor would save her landing without a chute. Her body would be a punctured yolk inside a very expensive cracked metal egg.
"Hold on," Stryker said, his voice calm and collected. "I'll come to you."
She looked up to see his IR tag pushing toward her on her HUD. At just over 1,000 feet, they were already in the deploy now or be shit out of luck range. He closed in fast, legs out, arms bunched. They would have one chance at this. Laser bolts lanced in their direction, but Stryker held his position, stretching his legs to let the wind resistance bring his gloved hands to her.
"I've got you," he said.
Their fingers met and grasped, wrists locked. He wrapped his legs and arms around her long enough to clip his carabiner into her harness. The canopy blew out of its container on his back, halting their descent and pulling up hard on Stryker. Red's guts knotted as she felt gravity pulling down on her, and Stryker doing his best to hold on. He managed to keep his grip, and once she was secure, he reached for the toggles. Laser bolts seared the sky, shooting past them. Another IR tag went offline as laser fire flashed up from the destroyed cityscape. The beach rose up toward their boots.
"Here we go," Stryker yelled. "I'm going to drop you, okay?"
She nodded. To slow their descent, he pulled down on the toggles. Then he unclipped her, and she dropped the last 8 feet to the beach. Legs stiff, knees unlocked, she hit the sand and rolled in a classic parachute landing fall. Do it perfectly, and it still felt like jumping off a roof onto concrete. Tumbling several times, she finally came to a stop. Shouts and the sizzling crackle of a dozen laser rifles echoed across the beachfront. Red pushed herself up, blinking away the stars. In her blurred field of view, one thing came into focus. A single umbrella, protruding from the sand, its red canopy whipping in the wind. Then she saw everything. The husks of burned buildings, the craters in the sand, and the body parts strewn about like litter.
"Red!"
someone shouted. Stryker was hunched down in the bottom of a crater, waving. Keeping low, she made a run for his position and slip-slid down into the bombed-out trench. A group of soldiers were holding a defensive position near a roadway about a quarter-mile away.
"Follow me," Stryker said. "Stay as low as you can."
Dallas was raking his laser cannon back and forth between 2 armored troop transports, screaming at the top of his lungs. A dozen New Zealand Special Forces were firing the rifles at a building as they slowly advanced behind the cover of the vehicles. Red and Stryker fell in with the Kiwis. Unlike the Federation shock troops, the New Zealand Special Forces wore vests as their only body armor. A few didn't even have helmets on. They were Maori warriors, their limbs and faces protected by nothing more than tribal tattoos. One of them, a female with braids and muscles, crouched beside Red and Stryker. "I'll have a landing there, Yanks," she said in a thick Kiwi accent. "Better get your heads on straight, 'cause we've got an entire unit of Augies to kill." She stood and stepped away from the transport when the unmistakable clatter of a chain gun started up in the distance. The explosive rounds slammed into the armored vehicles. The Kiwi woman staggered, the stump where her arm had been shooting a geyser of blood. Stryker pulled her out of the line of fire, and Red crawled over. On the ground, she saw the metal legs of the augmech in the street, and the shells raining down from its 2 chain gun arms. "Let me go!" the woman screamed. She squirmed under Stryker's grip, and Red helped hold her down. Slick blood coated their hands as they struggled to hold the writhing warrior down. It was then that Red recognized her. Kaya. Red woke inside a tunnel of curved beams, behind a sealed blast door with a Federation logo. "You're back?" said a voice. Kaya smiled at Red. "You," Red began to say. Footfalls sounded, several sets. Fox bent down.
How you feeling, Red?
I'm fine, she replied. I was having a dream again. Kaya was in it. Red looked down at her own arm, remembering. The wound, the fast-moving red clouds, losing consciousness. "You're going to be fine," Cassie said. "Your arm is patched up and already healing." Red looked for Stryker, but didn't see him or Dallas in the group huddled inside the passage. Ji was sitting with her back against a mountain of packs, looking up from a data screen, her eyes swollen from crying. "Where's Stryker?" Red asked.
"He took Dallas outside for samples," Fox said. "But so far we haven't been able to get any messages through on the comms."
"Are we receiving their data?" Cassie said. Ji walked over with the data screen. "Not yet. The only data I have is what Kaya has been able to glean from the scanners outside the Ark." Red listened to the scientific mumbo-jumbo, but she didn't really care. She just wanted to remember. Her past, the war, the enemy. And most of all, she wanted to know who she was, other than a shock soldier for the Federation. But deep down, something told her she wasn't supposed to remember.
"I'm burning up, Sarge," Dallas said. "I think my cooling system is starting to malfunction, and I've only got 4 hours of oxygen left."
Stryker finished taking another sample, ignoring the corporal's whining. Using his knife, he cut a petal off an orange flower and placed it in a specimen tube. Pollen streaked along the glass. "Tagged and bagged," he said. The flowers grew along the foothills, blowing softly in the hot breeze.
"You got enough yet?" Dallas asked. "I think we should start heading back to the Ark."
"Do you ever, stop talking?" Stryker let some of his annoyance bleed through. "You can't be watching for hostiles if you're flapping your jaw the entire time."
"Yeah, right. Sorry," Dallas said.
He shifted back into his tactical position, training his laser cannon on the flower-covered foothills. Miles of desert terrain stretched under the swirling clouds. Wind gusted across the humped red earth, sifting the orange flowers aside, like hair flattened in the breeze. Then their dish-shaped petals rose back up toward the scorching sky. Stryker started to pull away from his scope when he saw a glint of metal. He quickly pushed the optics back to his visor and zoomed in on the top of a dune.
"You got something?"
Dallas asked. "Get down." Dallas crouched and hid behind a rock while Stryker kept focused. After a few moments, he slipped down and crept over to the corporal. "I think I saw metal."
"Metal out here? Could be a sniper,"
Dallas murmured. "If it was a sniper, we'd be dead too." He paused a beat. "I think we should check this out."
"How'd I know you'd say that?"
Thunder boomed as they set off into the desert. Stryker looked at the clouds, wishing he could see through them. Something was up there, something that had messed with the electronics of their drone and made it crash.
"This sky is trippy, mate," Dallas said. "This entire frickin' environment is. Orange flowers that track like satellite dishes."
"Yeah, something terrible has happened to our world."
"Sarge, I'm almost glad I don't remember what happened, or even if I have a family."
"Pretty sure I don't have one," Stryker said. "I had a dream about an orphanage. So vivid, it had to be real."
"I remember an academy and some training, but—"
Dallas paused.
"Holy shit, man."
A moment later, Stryker saw what Dallas was looking at. Beyond the dunes, maybe a mile away, multiple humped tan structures shimmered in the heat haze, looking like the back of some prehistoric monster.
"Is that the metal you saw?"
Dallas asked. "I don't know. Let's check it out." Dallas heaved his laser cannon back into position, the handle clanking against his armor. He hiked up a slope with Stryker and got on his belly to look out over the flat desert and the first signs of civilization. Stryker had expected the buildings to be skeletal husks, destroyed in the war. But these were all in one piece. Tan tarps flapped in the breeze over heavy-duty supply crates.
Looks abandoned,
Dallas said. Stryker recorded what he was seeing for later. 5 buildings, all but 1 or 2 stories. Tan in color. Looks like a faded Federation logo on the doors. No vehicles in sight, but there does appear to be a hangar. No weapons that I can see, Stryker said. 2 satellites, both damaged. Looks like a solar farm, too. Most of the panels seem intact. He finished transmitting and crawled over to Dallas. I'm going to check it out. You cover me, okay?
I got you, Sarge.
Stryker did one last scan, then plunge-stepped his way back down the loose scree. He came around the side, rifle up to his shoulder, scanning for life forms as he crouch-walked ahead. The clouds scudded faster across the sky. Coming upon a cluster of rocks, he noticed a tiny rod with an eyeball-shaped tip sticking out of the sand. I got sensors, Stryker said over the comm to Dallas. Probably motion detectors. You see any sentry guns from your position?
Negative.
Stryker hesitated another moment to consider his options. This place looked long abandoned, and he saw no sign of recent activity. If there was an alarm, he doubted anyone was here to respond. He decided it was worth the risk, and started toward the rocks with his rifle shouldered. The sensors beeped as he passed by, and he crouched, waiting for an alarm, but none came. The closest building was a round 2-story structure with a domed roof. He made his way around it to the door, which had a keypad. I'm going in, he said.
Careful, Sarge,
Dallas replied.
Could be some bad juju in there.
The door handle clicked and unlocked, and Stryker stepped inside a vaulted space. Dry and leafless tree branches reached toward the glass dome overhead. Under rusted water lines, troughs of dried-up plants once provided food for humans. A male voice boomed from unseen speakers. Welcome to Arc Station 2, AG Biodome. My name is Francis. How may I assist you? The blue hologram of an AI fizzled to life, crackling as if it couldn't solidify. It was a man with a long beard and shaved head. Crow's feet formed as cool blue eyes squinted at Stryker. Oh, Sergeant Stryker. Good to see you, said the AI. I'm sorry I didn't recognize you at first. My battery power is very low. Stryker tried to remember the AI, but didn't recognize the voice or the face. How do you know my name? He asked. That's an interesting question. Do you not remember me? No. Stryker looked around them. Pieces of the dead tree had broken off and lay scattered on the ground. Most of the plants were nothing but husks in their pots of arid dirt. Pieces of the glass dome above them had cracked, but remained intact. He didn't remember any of it, or the AI stationed here. What happened to this base? Stryker asked. Follow me to the command building and I will show you. The AI vanished. Stryker left the biodome and searched for the command building.
Sarge, did you find anything?
Dallas asked over the comm. Stay put. I'll be back soon. He had no idea how he was going to explain this, especially when he stepped into the command center, where another scene of death awaited. This time, not plants. A rope noose hung from a rafter. Directly below it lay a pile of bones, hair, and clothing. The mortal remains of whoever had chosen to end it right here. A skull, still covered in patchy skin and hair, had rolled a few feet and lay staring up at Stryker. Moving around the macabre scene, he walked over to a pod of desks and data screens. Welcome back to the Forward Operating Command Center of Arc Station 2, Francis said. Please follow me to the labs. The AI motioned Stryker toward a glass door on the other side of the room. A wall of glass blocked off the labs. Stryker turned on the tack light on his rifle and pointed it at the lab stations. They were laden with a wide array of equipment. He held the light on a corpse inside one of the containment chambers. The body was human, though he couldn't tell the gender. All that remained were bones and skin and faded white scrubs. A crown of flower petals covered the mummified scalp. The upper right quadrant of the head was gone, perhaps from a laser bolt to the bottom of the chin, exiting from the crown. Mushrooms grew on the wall around the brown stippling of blood and brain matter. Petals bloomed from the missing eye sockets. Stryker took a step back, remembering the remains of the lieutenant in the riverbed. What in God's name happened to them? Exposure to the Zimmer fungus and suicide, Francis replied. I've secured the lab to prevent the spread of contagion. And the guy under that rope was also, yes, self-inflicted. Trying to make sense of this scene, Stryker couldn't help wondering if the AI was telling him the truth. There were so many questions, but he started with the first. How long has it been since I was last here? Stryker asked. 37 years, 345 days, 10 hours, 5 minutes, and 15 seconds, Sergeant. Francis smiled. You've aged well, Sergeant. Chapter 5. I'm picking something up outside with the station sensors, Kaya said. Red got up. Stryker and Dallas? She asked. I don't think so, Corporal. A holographic map of the terrain outside sprang onto the tunnel wall. Here, about 3 miles to the east, Kaya said. There's an outcropping I'll mark on your HUDs that will provide a better look at the contacts. G looked alarmed. How many? 2, Kaya said.
Human?
Fox asked, already checking his laser rifle. Possibly, but inconclusive at this range, Kaya said.
Red, get your helmet on, Fox said. We're heading outside.
Hold on, said she. Are you sure that's a good idea?
We're easy targets here.
The lieutenant charged his rifle with a click.
I'd rather fight in the open than hide in here.
It could be one of the other teams, Cassie said.
Yeah, but it could also be hostiles, Fox said.
Red put her helmet on with a click.
Head back to the landing, Fox said. And Kaya, lock the doors down.
He unholstered his laser pistol.
Know how to use this?
He asked Cassie. I think so, she replied.
Here's the safety.
She nodded.
Click it off, then aim and shoot. Easy as peanut butter and jelly.
Fox handed over the gun. Okay, Cassie said. Once Cassie and Officer Meehan had retreated down the passage and back to the landing, Fox and Red went to the blast door.
You alert enough for possible combat?
He asked. Good to go, LT.
I hope so, because we have no idea who we're dealing with.
Red charged her rifle and followed him through the sliver in the opening doors, out into the blinding red glow. I'm bringing up the coordinates, Kaya said.
Roger that,
Fox replied. They waited a beat for the map to come online. Then Fox turned and looked up at the cliffs above the hidden blast door entrance to Arc Station 2.
I don't see a way up, he said.
There should be a ladder behind the rock formations, Kaya said. Red found the steel ladder tucked into a crevice between rust-colored fingers of rock that seemed to grasp at the sky. She tested the first 2 rungs, then started up. Wind beat against her armor on the long climb to the top of the peak over Arc Station 2. She didn't stop until the ladder ended at a broad, flat stone ledge. It proved to be a false summit, with another peak above, but she didn't see a way up. Reaching out a hand, she helped Fox onto the ledge. The wind howled, sandblasting their armor. Take the path west, Kaya said, but be careful. Judging from the topo, it looks thin. Thin is right, Red said. She flattened her body against the back of the rock wall and sidestepped on the narrow ledge. Once across, she waited for Fox. A good thing, because he lurched when his boot slipped, kicking rocks over the side. She grabbed his belt and pulled him to safety.
Thanks,
he said. Bit of a way down. Fox took a look, then continued along the trail that curved around the wall. At the crest, he tried the encrypted comms.
Stryker, Dallas, do you copy?
He asked. Static crackled back.
Stryker, Dallas, do you read?
Red searched for contacts on the vast desert plain under a racing sky. A reply broke over the channel.
Copy. This is Sergeant.
Static garbled his words, making the end of the transmission unintelligible.
Stryker, what's your status?
Fox asked. The next transmission suddenly came through clearly. We're at Arc Station 2. Forward operating Base 1, Stryker replied.
Head back to Arc Station 2 immediately.
Copy, sir, on our way. Fox led Red down the trail further west until they finally reached a lookout. He went on his belly and pulled out a pair of binos, while Red extended the barrel of her laser rifle and swung down the bipod.
There, Fox said. 3 o'clock. Quarter mile out.
Red positioned a rifle and saw one target in a white and red armor setup, much like the one Cassie was wearing.
I got 2 unknown contacts, Fox reported on the comms. Looks like 1 male and 1 female.
Zooming in, Red noticed something odd. She moved her scope to confirm that neither contact had a mask. They wore tan fatigues, backpacks, and goggles, but no breathing apparatus.
You see any markings or symbols on their fatigues to tell us who these people are?
Fox asked. She zoomed in on the woman. Red held in a breath, then said, "They aren't people."
What?
"Augies. I think they're both augmented soldiers." Fox pushed his binoculars up.
Shit.
Red studied the enemy for the first time. She could remember facing them before, but seeing them now, here, confirmed her fear. They were still at war.
Take them down, Fox said.
Red peered back through her scope, lining up the first target. The machines hadn't spotted them yet.
Take the shot, he said.
Her rifle crackled like a high-voltage line. The laser bolts pounded the first guy, taking off an arm and blowing a hole through his chest. The other Augie raised its rifle at their location. Red and Fox fired simultaneously, taking the Augie's head off with multiple rounds. A poof burst in the air as the body slumped to the sand. Blue and white fluids trickled out of the destroyed skull. Fox pushed himself up right away.
We gotta move fast and get the others out of here, he said. This place is compromised.
On the journey back to Arc Station 2, the clouds became a celestial bowling alley. The concussions went off one after another before fading again.
"How many do you count?" Stryker asked.
"Count?"
Dallas replied.
"Thunderclaps. I wasn't paying attention, Sarge. Sorry. It's just thunder."
"I think I heard 10, which is double what I counted last time."
So?
"So we're supposed to be observant."
"I'm not a scientist, geologist, botanist, or cunning linguist, and the shit you saw back at Arc Station 2 is way above our pay grade."
"Which is why we need to get this data back to Officer Meehan and Dr. Sanchez. Whatever this Zimmer fungus is, it looks pretty damn lethal." Both men suddenly stopped. All along the hills, as if by some command from on high, the flora shriveled as one, their satellite dish-shaped petals retracting into the stems, then into holes in the dirt.
"I sure hope that's not a warning that we should be doing the same thing,"
Dallas said. "At least we won't have to worry about those things right now." Stryker kept moving, faster now. They hit the mountains soon after, and he found the same trail they had taken in. The bright sky began to dim, and he noticed the temperature clicking down. 120, 118, 115. "We've got to find shelter or get back to the Ark," Stryker said. Throwing caution to the winds, they raced along the trail. Stryker feared not just for the team at the bunker, but for himself and Dallas as well. The weather was changing fast, and another glance at his HUD showed the temperature at 95 degrees and dropping. "You're not going to be hot for long," Stryker said. Dallas huffed as he ran with the laser cannon cradled awkwardly across his chest.
"Have I mentioned how much I hate you, Sarge?"
"It's coming back to me." Stryker couldn't help but smile. Any sense of jocularity vanished when they got their next look over the valley. The horizon turned a dark purple as the sun retreated.
85 degrees.
Dallas was sucking air.
"That can't be right, can it?"
"Both of our sensors can't be broke, Dick." Shadows fingered across the valley below, growing and cloaking the riverbed and rocky terrain in black. Stryker hesitated before setting off down the trail. He moved slower now to scan for life. By the time they reached the canyon floor, the temperature was 40 degrees, and the sky was pitch black. It switched on his night vision optics.
"Our suits will protect us from the cold, right?"
Dallas asked.
"I mean the really, really cold."
"Yeah," Stryker said, suddenly unsure. Something in his mind told him that although they had trained in freezing conditions, it was probably with modifications to their armor and the suits underneath. Still, it was as if he could feel the chill creeping in. Maybe that was just his nerves, though. "Let's take the riverbed back," Stryker said. "It's faster." He slid down the bank and jogged past the skeletal remains of the lieutenant from another team.
"That the guy?"
Dallas asked. "Yeah." Halfway across the valley, Stryker caught motion in the corner of his eye.
He stopped and signaled for Dallas to get down. They both crouched, and Stryker trained his rifle on the top of the jagged peaks. Unable to see anything with his own eyes in the darkening terrain, he switched the scope to infrared.
6 o'clock, he whispered.
Dallas pulled his thermal binoculars from his duty belt.
What the low-flying fuck is that? He stammered.
The signature flickered off for a moment before a second signature appeared on another crag 100 feet away. Or was it the same one? A moment later it was gone, and this time it didn't come back. He recalled that enemies could camouflage. Hell, his own armor was camouflaged to blend in with the rust-colored terrain, but he had never seen heat signatures dance like this. He felt a tremor in his spine. It was not just from fear. The temperature was -10 now that the sun had gone.
We need to get out of here, he said.
Dallas got up and followed Stryker down the riverbed. They were almost out of the valley when Stryker noticed the stillness.
What?
Dallas whispered. It's quiet.
Yeah.
No wind. No thunder. No quakes. Stryker had the creeping sensation that he was being watched. He raised his rifle and switched on the infrared scope. A heat signature winked and guttered on the cliff above, then transported to another peak. The temperature dropped another 2 degrees in as many minutes. What kind of creature could survive out here in these brutal conditions? Maybe those things we saw aren't creatures, Stryker mused. Maybe they're some sort of advanced drones.
You see them again?
Dallas asked. He kept his laser cannon aimed at the sawtooth cliffs above. Stryker froze as the cliffs came alive. All at once, a swarm of human-sized heat signatures flickered across the peaks. He raked his scope from side to side, then turned, seeing the same thing on the other side of the valley. They had the shape of starfish, or a nerve cell, he realized. Long appendages, bristling with spikes, branched off a ribbed nucleus. Lights pulsed down those elongated limbs every few seconds, as if the creature had a heartbeat.
I don't believe what I'm seeing, Stryker whispered. I've never seen anything like this, that I can remember.
When he pulled the infrared scope away, he saw nothing. It was too dark.
What do we do?
Dallas asked. From the distance came a whooshing noise, and then something like a cascading waterfall. He wasn't sure what was making it, but didn't want to stick around to find out.
Run, Stryker said. Run and don't stop until I tell you.
He set off in a dead sprint down the riverbed, his boots crunching over the frozen dirt. The cold had penetrated his suit, and his lungs burned with each deep breath. Even with night vision, running in the darkness was tricky on such rough terrain, and it could be harder still on the steep slope back up into the cliffs. He looked for the path they had taken into the valley, but he didn't recognize any of the narrow passages winding through the rock hoodoos that stuck up from the ground like fat, limbless trees. He selected a path that took them under some of the taller formations, taking advantage of what cover they could find. Once they were a safe distance inside the maze of rock formations, he paused and swept the peaks with his rifle scope, hoping to catch a glimpse of the creatures, drones, or whatever they were.
Why do we stop?
Dallas gasped between breaths. The individual heat signatures flickered across the valley. If they aren't drones, then they must be some sort of evolved insect or bird, Stryker said.
Birds? I fucking hate birds. Gross, dumb creatures that shit on your head with no regard.
I doubt they're what killed the other teams, so you can relax a bit. Stryker lowered his scope. How much oxygen you got?
Little over an hour.
Good. Plenty to get back.
If we don't turn into icicles first.
Stryker sucked in a cold breath and kept walking until they reached a wider path. The rocks here were veined with deep black fissures, some of them wide enough to conceal a person. Careful, Stryker said. He checked the sky for more of the birds or whatever was up there, and started navigating his way around the labyrinth of stone. Dallas followed close behind, still muttering about the birds. A few steps out, Stryker crunched over icy debris on the ground. Shit's everywhere, he said.
What is it?
Dallas asked.
Dunno.
Keep moving. They navigated slowly over the cracked and fissured boulders, taking great care not to slip on the ice. Stryker was first across. He waited for Dallas, then started the climb up a rocky passage into the higher peaks. The dense cloud cover seemed closer now, almost as if he could reach up and touch it. He stopped to gaze out over the forest of hoodoos. searching for a way back to Arc Station 2. He re-entered the coordinates into his HUD and let the computer find the best route back.
"Feel that?"
Dallas said of a distant rumble.
"Just another quake," Stryker said. "Come on."
"Wait." Dallas had turned to peer down into a deep chasm wide enough to conceal a shuttlecraft.
"I think it's coming from there."
The rumble intensified, rattling the pebbles along the rocky slope. Stryker took a step closer to Dallas and then grabbed his armor, yanking him back. A geyser of liquid rocketed into the air from a crack in the trail before him. The jet of liquid slowed, crystallizing in the air and turning into spears of ice that plummeted back down to shatter on the ground.
"Must be some sort of hydrothermal field," Stryker said.
Another geyser blasted into the air, then rained back down as icy javelins that shattered on the rocks. A whistling like a shrill wind rose over the noise of crashing ice. Stryker brought his rifle up and watched a heat signature shoot out of one of the cracks in the ground. Not one, 3. Stryker thought about shooting off a flare to let him see what was out there, but he didn't want to give their position away. He followed the creatures into the air with his scope, watching their starfish shapes rise into the sky. They suddenly curved and began a descent, their long, spiked limbs connecting to form wings that propelled them like flying insects through the air.
"Dallas,"
Stryker breathed.
"What?"
Dallas was still looking at the field, and turned as Stryker raised his laser rifle. When the creatures swooped toward them, he pulled the trigger. The lasers flashed through the sky, right into the nucleus of one of the creatures, but it didn't seem to have an effect beyond the pulsing flashes of light that arced along the dendritic-looking limbs. Dallas raised the laser cannon from his hip and screamed,
"I can't see anything!"
"Shoot where I shoot," Stryker called back. He fired burst after burst, but the lasers only made the creatures glow brighter in his scope. All 3 kept coming, gangly arms beating the air. He took a step back, right into Dallas. They were trapped in the ledge over the active hydrothermal field. Stryker squeezed off shots until he was sure the bolts had no effect. He lowered the gun to try to get a look with his own eyes. The rush of wind intensified until he staggered backward.
"What is that?"
Dallas yelled.
"Get down!"
All 3 creatures suddenly swarmed at them. There was no time to run, only to hit the ground. Stryker heard the whoosh overhead, then a yelp of pain from Dallas. An odd electrical crackle turned Stryker's head as he hit the ground on his side. He saw his comrade suspended in the air in a tangle of flashing limbs. Electrical currents danced over his armor and then into the nucleus of each of the 3 airborne creatures. The limbs suddenly came apart, and the corporal fell to the ground, rolling a few feet and disappearing over the cliff edge.
"Dallas!"
Stryker scrambled on all 4s over to the ledge. Below, Dallas hung on by one hand, the other hanging limply.
"I can't hold on,"
he said. Stryker lay down on the edge and reached down.
"Help me!"
Dallas mumbled over the comm. The wind rushed away, but it didn't fade. These things were coming back. Stryker could see their glowing ribbed midsections with his own eyes now. They reminded him of fireflies as they dipped and curved around for another pass. "Take my hand," Stryker said. Reaching down as far as he could, he brushed Dallas's fingertips. Fingers grabbed frantically, then gripped.
"I got—"
Stryker started to say. Another geyser fired into the air from the field below them, and Dallas flinched.
"No!"
Stryker screamed. Dallas flailed on the way down, but he did not scream in terror.
"Fuck this place!"
he growled over the comm channel. Stryker heard a crunch, then silence. Then came a robotic voice in Stryker's helmet. "Suit compromised." Stryker stared down at all that remained of Dallas. His laser cannon. His body had fallen into a deep chasm. "Dallas," he said over the comms. Static.
"Dallas!"
Stryker shouted. More white noise. "Suit compromised," the female robotic voice repeated. A sonic boom echoed across the sky. He swallowed hard, then got up and did what he was trained to do. Survive. Chapter 6. "We have to get his body temp up," said Cassie. Kaya hovered behind them, her glow filling the tunnel with golden light. "Can you hear me?" Red said. Stryker looked up at her from the platform, his teeth chattering. Help me get his armor off, Cassie said. We need to warm him up. Fox paced while he watched.
Where's Dallas?
He kept repeating, and he wasn't cursing under his breath. Stryker glanced up, his purple lips moving as he tried to speak. Take it easy, Red said. He's in shock, Cassie said. Red wondered whether this was just from the freezing temperatures, or perhaps from something he had seen, or from whatever happened to Dallas. Cassie draped a heat blanket over him and waited for the fabric to conform to his muscles. She did a scan of his body with her wand, while Red put a heat pad on his chest to speed his recovery. Vitals are elevated, but he's going to be fine, Cassie said. Stryker's blue lips quivered. My scans are showing Sergeant Stryker was exposed to frozen water, ice, rich in aluminum and iron, and poor in chloride ions.
English, please,
Fox said. I believe Sergeant Stryker encountered some sort of hydrothermal field, perhaps related to the seismic activity we've been experiencing. Stryker tried to sit up. The color was already returning to his features, but Red kept the heat pad on his chest. Lie down, she said. You need to rest. Dr. Sanchez, I'd like you to start analyzing the samples the sergeant brought back, G said. Especially this one. She held up a clear tube filled with worm-like threads of a deep crimson hue. Do you know what it is? Some sort of flora, maybe? Cassie said.
Was on the drone,
Stryker said, teeth still chattering.
How'd it get on the drone?
Fox asked. That's what Dr. Sanchez is going to find out, she replied. I really need a full lab, but I'll do my best with my mobile station. Cassie took the tube. Halting suddenly, she said, It's moving. G went over to have a look.
Sergeant,
Fox said. He crouched in front of Stryker and snapped his fingers several times.
I need you to tell me what happened out there.
Stryker blinked a few times. His jaw clenched. We took samples, found FOB1, and then started back when we saw something. Some sort of starfish creature with limbs that it used to leap and fly. Could it have been an insect? G said. Stryker shook his head.
I don't know. It kind of looked like a firefly, but it had no head or antennae. No bilateral symmetry of any kind. It looked almost like a nerve cell. You sure you weren't just seeing shit? Fox asked. I know what I saw. What happened to Dallas? They electrocuted him. And then he fell.
Stryker sat up slowly.
I tried to save him. What happened? Fox said. Tell me exactly what you remember.
Stryker put a hand on his head.
We were looking down on a geothermal field when it erupted. That's where the creatures came from. And they attacked us.
Oh, wait. Back up, said G. They came from the vents? Stryker nodded.
Maybe it was Augies with cloaking tech, or some sort of drone, Fox said. I thought maybe a drone, but these things seemed like... Stryker winced. I fired an entire battery's worth of shots at them, but they just seemed to absorb the rounds.
Then it wasn't cloaking tech, Red said.
No, he said. This is some sort of new species, or perhaps something that adapted to live out here after the war.
More than likely that is the case, G said. She looked down at her screen. The data you brought back is remarkable. It's very possible something we've never seen lives out there now. She suddenly seemed all business, completely engrossed in the samples Stryker and Dallas had taken. The atmosphere and soil readings are excellent, she said. This is great news. We should all be celebrating.
I just lost one of my men out there to an enemy we can't identify, Fox said. Not to mention this place is compromised. The Augs know we're here.
That might be so, Lieutenant, but it's still safer here than out there, Kaya said. I agree. G lowered the data screen. I'm sorry, but the sacrifice of Corporal Marks...
That's Clark, Stryker said. His name was Corporal Dallas Clark, and he died for that data you're gawping at.
I know, and I'm sorry, but as I was saying, his sacrifice was not in vain. She held up the data screen. These readings are better than I'd hoped for. How do you know that? Red asked. I mean, how do you remember? Because I still don't remember anything but a few dreams. Stryker shivered.
Better than you could have hoped for, he huffed. Did you see the part where I found 2 Federation corpses at Forward Operating Base 1? Both of them dead from self-inflicted wounds? And one of them infected with something called the Zimmer fungus? You know something about that? Fox asked G. Or about what Stryker and Dallas encountered out there?
I'll know more once Dr. Sanchez has a chance to analyze the samples.
We don't have the time, Fox said. Those Augies know we're here, which means we need to leave ASAP.
I told you it's not safe. You can't go out there until morning, Kaya said. The temperature is minus 35 degrees.
Fox bent down to Stryker.
Did you see any sign of Augies out there?
Stryker shook his head.
No. But there's something else that happened at the Arc Station 2 AG Biodome you should know about, he said.
Something not in the data?
G asked.
Yes. We've been out there before, Stryker said.
What?
Red asked.
The AI there knew me. Officer Meehan. Do you want to explain that? Or how about you, Kaya?
There was only silence.
No? Maybe if you'd told me a little more of what you knew, Dallas would still be alive.
Stryker growled. Still shivering, he pushed himself off the ground.
Whatever happened during the war and after the war changed things dramatically, Red said. I don't think a human enemy was the only thing that killed the other teams. I think the surface killed them.
Maybe, but those Augies we dispatched could just as easily have killed the other teams, Fox said.
He cursed.
Know what I think? I think the surface is finally starting to become habitable again. But seeing those rust bucket Augs got me thinking the war ain't over. That they're looking for a place to resettle on the surface, too.
You're right, said G. The war was over. Both sides lost, and now both sides are looking for a new home.
Silence hung in the air while the team took it in.
Lieutenant, as soon as the temperature is survivable, I want you to escort me to Forward Operating Base 1, she said. Dr. Sanchez and I will be able to analyze the samples better there, and if everything looks like it's looking now, I'll upload my report and complete our mission. My husband and your friend Corporal Clark will not have died in vain.
Hold up just a damn minute, Stryker said. Have you not been listening to us?
I heard you, Sergeant. But this station is no longer a secret. The Augies know we're here, or will soon, G said. Tomorrow you will escort me to Forward Operating Base 1. We have to share this data with the Federation as soon as possible. We will need reinforcements to secure this area before the Augies show up in overwhelming numbers, if they haven't already.
Fox crossed his arms over his chest as the officer looked at them in turn.
There will be a new war for this zone, G replied coldly. A war that could determine the future of the human race.
The team assembled in front of the blast doors, fully suited up.
Guess we're not just grunts after all, Red said.
Quiet,
Fox said, his hard green eyes sweeping over the team.
Stryker, you got point. Red, your rear guard. Kai, I'm sending you into the sky with our last drone.
The hawk is my spirit animal, Kaya said.
I fucking hate birds. Stryker recalled the last conversation Dallas ever had.
Kaya, scan for life forms again using Arc Station scanners, Fox said, walking over to a wall-mounted data screen. Officer Meehan, Dr. Sanchez, I want you to hang back until we give the all-clear, just in case the Augs are waiting outside.
The authoritative words reminded Stryker of a battle for the space station. This time the memory wasn't as complete, just snippets. Lieutenant Fox led a small strike team along the space station's starboard outer hull. In darkness they crouched-walked toward a hatch that would let them into a section held by Augs. But before they got there, a group of enemy commandos sprang an ambush. Fox was hit right away, his suit hissing air. Stryker had flanked and killed 2 commandos before a third severed his tether. He had drifted away, watching the pinpricks of laser flashes as the battle raged on without him. He shook the memory off. The mystery of how he went from drifting off into the abyss of space to being safely back on a post-apocalyptic Earth was just another one to add to the growing list of unanswered questions. Over 36 hours had passed since they came out of cryosleep, with only shards of his past coming back to him. And now Dallas Clark was dead, killed by some mysterious life form that lasers couldn't stop.
This is all jacked up, he said to Red. I'm thinking you were right, that we're not supposed to remember. And I'm also thinking Meehan and Kai are lying to us about what really happened out there.
Me too.
Red looked over her shoulder.
Tell me again about Francis, the AI at Arc Station 2, AG Biodome. You said he knew you?
Pretty much treated me like I'd just walked out and he was happy I'd returned. But he said I hadn't been there in 40 years.
I guess we were thawed, sent out, and then frozen again, Red said.
Stryker snorted.
Dallas had a point about us being guinea pigs for the Federation.
Life scan's negative, Kaya called out.
All right, this is it,
Fox said, joining Red and Stryker at the doors.
Officer Meehan, Dr. Sanchez, keep close to me once we give the all-clear, and do exactly what I tell you, he said. Your lives and the success of this mission depend on it.
Understood, Ji replied. She nodded to Kaya. Please open the doors.
Fox, Red, and Stryker shouldered their weapons. The doors clanked open, the bright glow of the sun blasting through the tunnel.
Hope you all got some sleep, Stryker said.
He strode out through the opening and headed down the trail he had taken with Dallas. The clouds seemed faster today, like a red surf slapping together, retreating, then surging again.
Watch your step, Stryker said. We got a long ways to go, and most of it's through the mountains.
He looked for the creatures throughout the trek, and so did Kaya. The drone buzzed in the distance, scanning for life forms.
How's it looking up there?
Stryker said into the comm.
Like a desert,
Kaya said. Stryker did a thermal scan when they got to the valley overlook. The AI circled in the drone, but all the scans came back negative.
125 degrees, Red said over the comms. Hardly habitable if you ask me. Glad I don't remember what it was before, Cassie said. Must have been hell.
Still is,
Stryker muttered off the comms. He took them all the way down into the foothills bordering the desert plain on the other side of the mountains before he stopped. A blizzard of orange petals fluttered on the hot breeze.
Wow, those are magnificent,
Cassie said.
I've already taken samples, Stryker said. Let's keep moving. Arc Station 2 AG Biodome is about a click beyond the other side of these dunes.
The comm crackled. It was the AI.
Lieutenant Fox, I have eyes on smoke plumes, Kaya said.
Check it out,
Fox replied.
Roger. Heading in for a bit of view.
The drone hummed away, racing under clouds that seemed to be moving just as fast. Stryker followed the progress in the video feed on his HUD. Flashes suddenly burst across the view, laser bolts lancing into the clouds. Fox motioned everyone down.
Kaya,
he said over the comms.
Kaya, do you copy?
The drone feed winked off. Stryker cursed.
I told you this was a bad idea, LT. The Augies know we're here.
They all huddled down in the sand.
I'll check it out, Fox said.
Let me, Stryker said. I'm familiar with the area.
I'll go too,
Red piped up. Cassie and Ji crouched down with their packs and gear as the lieutenant looked back at the sky and then to Stryker.
You go check it out, Sergeant. But don't engage, Fox ordered. Come right back. Red and I will hold security here.
Copy that, Stryker said. He set off, heart thumping, not with fear, but with anger. He wanted to remember, to know his past, to understand what had happened. His mind wandered as he slogged over dunes rising like coils of a sleeping snake. He hiked up one and traversed the other side. Nearing the crest of the next dune, he got down on his belly for a view of the forward operating base. Smoke billowed out of gaping holes in the 10 structures.
Someone must have set charges inside the buildings, he reported over the private comm channel to Fox. Any hostiles?
Stryker kept scanning, but whoever had taken out the drone wasn't in sight.
Negative, sir, he replied. Stay where you are.
Stryker swept the base with his scope, searching for the sniper. Look for the spot where you would hide. That took him to the dunes on the eastern boundary of the base. But even if there was a sniper, he was probably camouflaged like Stryker against the terrain. What he needed was something to lure the enemy out. But with the drone offline, what did he have? A few minutes later, Fox crawled over.
I got an idea, Stryker said.
I'm going to move positions. You activate Kaya's hologram, and hopefully that'll draw out any Augies.
I don't know. You got something better, LT?
Fox jerked his chin.
Go.
Stryker took off and found a new hill with a good view of the Arc Station 2 biodome and neighboring structures. Once he was settled in, he said,
Okay, LT.
The deep amber glow of Kaya emerged on the hilltop where Fox lay prone. Stryker pushed up his scope and waited for laser bolts.
but nothing came. He listened to the wind whip across the desert, blowing the smoke away. The fields of orange flowers shifted and billowed with each gust.
Kaya, you got any tricks up that holographic sleeve? Stryker asked.
Well, if I was still flesh and blood, I'd run in screaming. But for now, this is all I got. She crouched on the mound, breaking into a Maori dance with much chest-pounding and grunting. It made Stryker smile. He recalled another sliver from the past. Before Kaya was assigned to his team, long before the Battle of Dubai and her human death, she had done this same dance. It was a Maori challenge, and she had used it on a fire team of pinned-down Augies to draw them out, taking 2 laser bolts to her armor before she finally retreated. The ploy had worked then, but not this time.
Not taking the bait, Fox said. Cover me, I'm heading in.
Stryker eased his finger next to the trigger and steadied his breathing. Seeing Fox out on his own brought back another memory. It was from the day Kaya died, a moment when the death dealers were pinned down. Fox had run into the enemy fire to set a charge on a downed Augie mech that was still firing a chain gun, the same chain gun that had killed Kaya. Stryker shook away the thoughts and focused on the base, looking for any sign of an AUG sniper or recon team. Camouflaged against the terrain, Fox advanced, rifle up. The blazing roof of the agricultural biodome suddenly collapsed, caving in and sending a burst of embers into the sky. Fox kept walking past the structure, toward the command building. Smoke billowed out of the open doorway, and Stryker zoomed in on movement behind the cloud of black. There was something in the smoke.
LT, get down,
Stryker yelled. The skeletal barrel of a sentry gun poked out of the smoke curtain.
Oh, fuck me,
Fox said over the comm. He jerked in the spray of bolts that punched through his armor and sent him spinning into the dirt. Stryker aimed and fired a burst, disabling the weapon and giving away his position. Laser bolts flashed around him, and he rolled away. Return fire lanced into the rubble where the sniper was dug in. "I've got you!" Red shouted.
Shit,
Stryker mumbled. He got up and aimed, squeezing off several bursts to cover her advance as she ran. The sniper who had set the ambush got up and ran behind the warehouse. Stryker waited a beat to make sure there wasn't a second sniper, then slid down the bank of sand. Hearing a low rumble, he halted to aim at a rusty hoverbike with a single rider. The craft zipped away, kicking up a rooster tail of dust. Stryker lowered his gun and kept running as hard as he could to the fallen lieutenant, or what was left of him. His mangled body lay in the dirt, the left arm and leg missing. Stryker bowed his head. This time the lieutenant wasn't going to get back up, as he had at the battle for the space elevator. "I think they're gone," Red called out. Stryker bent down next to Fox. Blood trickled out from the sizzling holes in his armor. Red backpedaled, her rifle still up. "I think that was a Federation sniper," she said. "Why the hell would they—" She stopped, looking down. "Oh my God." Stryker put a gloved finger to a simmering hole in Fox's armor. He held up a fingertip soaked in blue blood. He looked up at Red. "LT's an Augie," he said. Chapter 7. "What the fuck aren't you telling us?" Red shouted. G and Cassie were inside the ruins of the command building of Arc Station 2, AG Biodome, only a few feet away from the corpse that now lay in a haphazard pile under the noose where it once hanged itself. "You need to start talking, Officer Meehan," Stryker said, "before more of us get picked off by whoever that was." "It was a Federation soldier that killed LT," Red said. "That's impossible," G replied. "Really? 'Cause I know what I saw." "You gonna deny the fact that LT was an Augie too?" Stryker asked. G didn't reply. Stryker stomped the ground. "Why would they destroy the biodome if they are Federation?" G asked. "That makes no sense. That sniper was wearing this." Red adjusted her chest rig. "Custom made to fit us. Not to mention, we have to scan our chips before putting on our rigs." G flipped up her visor to look at the 3 remaining team members. "My sympathies for Lieutenant Fox, but we must proceed with the mission," she said. "Kaya, what's the status of the lab here?" The golden glow of the AI crossed the command room. "The command system is offline, including the AI that was stationed here," she replied. "However, the lab is intact, and with battery power activated, it should be operational." "Good," Xi said. "Dr. Sanchez, please start analyzing the samples."
"Are those samples worth dying for?" Stryker said. "Because whoever set the charges at this base could come back to finish the job."
"That's why you're going after them, Sergeant," Xi said.
What?"
"There's a hoverbike in the garage. Kaya has confirmed that it's functional. Corporal Riddle, you will stay here and protect us while we finish our work. Once we do, we'll proceed to Communication Station 1, 10 miles from this location, to upload the data and send to the Executive Commander." Officer Meehan, Red said. "This is an order, and not open to debate," Xi said. "I'm in charge of this mission. Do not forget that. Under Article 19 LC, we're all sworn to do whatever it takes to make sure the Federation secures this zone, and not the Auggies." "Fox was an Auggie. Explain that to us," Red said. "Because until you do, we're not following any orders."
Stryker nodded. "That's right. We got a rogue Federation soldier on our hands, not to mention a potentially lethal fungal life form, some sort of electrical enemy we can't see, seismic activity, and a shitload of lies," he said. "So you best start talking."
Xi glared with anger, but then seemed to soften. "You're both augmented as well," she said. "The Federation's response to the enemy."
"Fuck me dead," Stryker said.
"You're two of the finest augmented soldiers ever created." "That's why we only have selected memories," Red said. "Yes," Xi said. "Your memories are from your life, before you were killed on the battlefield and then reconstructed as Augs. You were given a second chance at life, a chance to participate in the most important mission in the history of the human race, to give us all a second chance, which is what you clearly don't realize."
"You're telling me I'm an Auggie like our enemy?" Stryker said.
"Yes and no. You aren't the enemy. You were rebuilt to save us."
Cassie stood at the entrance to the lab.
"What about me?" "You and I are human," Xi said. "So why don't I have memories?" Cassie set her creative gear down. "Protocol. Your memories were wiped for the mission, a mission you agreed to when you signed up." "Do I have a family?" Cassie swallowed. "Did I?" Xi sighed. "I'm sorry. I know this is a lot to take in, but it's not safe here, and we must use the time we have to analyze the samples and send them via satellite upload."
"Just tell me one thing," Stryker said. "How come I have memories of fighting with Kaya?"
"Because you did fight with her," Xi said. "From what I recall in the files, Kaya was too far gone to be augmented after she was killed in the space elevator, and she became the AI that the Federation Medical Corps officers believed would be best suited for your squad. They thought you'd like me because I was a familiar face and ally," Kaya said with a crooked grin. "But clearly that didn't work out like the Fed Med Corps planned."
"One more question," Stryker said. "How long ago did the world end?"
"Kaya, go ahead and answer that."
600 years ago, replied the AI. Stryker narrowed his gaze, but kept his mouth shut.
"Kaya, have your scans detected any contaminants in the lab?" Xi asked.
"Negative, but the decreased Federation officer inside Lab 3 was infected with a Zimmer fungus." Kaya looked at the pile of human remains under the noose. "This unlucky soul does not show any signs of infection, however."
"Okay," Xi said. "Dr. Sanchez, suit up. I want you in the lab to begin analyzing all the samples while Sergeant Stryker and Corporal Riddle proceed with the mission."
Officer Meehan waited a moment for both Red and Stryker to nod. Then she walked away with Cassie.
"You believe her?"
Red asked quietly. "Some of it, maybe," Stryker said. "But there's one thing that doesn't make sense. Francis, the former AI of this facility, told me I was here 40 years ago.
So you think Xi's lying?
I don't know. And we can't ask Francis now. But perhaps the answer is out there, with whoever tried to kill us.
Be careful, Stryker.
You too. Red wasn't sure who or even what she was anymore. But she did know one thing. Seeing Stryker walk away activated something inside her that told her she cared deeply for him, and had cared for a very long time. Stryker stopped in front of the hatch.
"Remember," Xi said over the comms, "the success of our mission now depends on you two, the very best of us. You are the guardians of humanity." The rusted two-seat hoverbike was under a pile of rotted packing blankets when Stryker found it. The battery was down to 20%, and the data screen smashed to pieces, but it turned on. He didn't remember ever riding one before, but when he hopped on the metal seat, it felt natural. He piloted the machine out into the desert, after the lingering engine heat trail left behind by the Federation soldier, or Augie.
"Time to tease out the truth from the lies," he said, "even if it kills me. Again."
A few miles out, he noticed a satellite dish angled toward the sky. The orange bellies of clouds collided and thundered over the facility.
"Kaya, is that Communication Station 1 that Officer Meehan was talking about?" he asked.
"That is correct," Kaya replied. "Sergeant, your vitals are elevated."
"My heart rate?" Stryker replied. "Do I even have one?"
"Yes, of course. However, like many of your organs, your heart is augmented."
"Honestly, I don't even want to know. Just focus on your scans for hostiles, okay?"
There was a pause. Then Kaya replied, "I'm sorry for keeping the truth from you, but I have my orders. Perhaps if you remembered some of our glory days together, you would appreciate my presence more."
"I think we probably have differing opinions on what constitutes glory days."
"Before we died."
"Ah, you mean when we were killing Augies and their human allies?"
"Precisely."
"The irony is hard to accept," Stryker said. "But hey, if it makes you feel better, assuming you can feel, I forgive you."
Having the AI along wasn't his idea, and while he didn't like having her connected to his HUD and interfaces, it was reassuring to know she was scanning for threats while he piloted the bike over the deadly terrain. For the next hour, the hoverbike climbed over sand dunes. Finally, he steered it out onto an open plain, careful not to go too fast, just in case there was an ambush waiting for him. When he hit the next wall of dunes, the engine whined and smoke coughed out the sides. Chirping came from the shattered data screen.
"Bucket of shit," he said.
"Perhaps slowing down would help."
"I don't think I've got a choice."
Stryker eased off the throttle and rode the bike up to the crest of a dune. He hopped off to let the engine cool down. The exhaust trail from the other bike was starting to fade on his HUD.
"Can't stay too long or we'll lose the trail."
"Either let your bike cool or you're walking," Kaya said. She had a point. Stryker took a few minutes to hydrate, eat some calories, and scan the terrain. Endless dunes sprawled across the horizon, but something seemed different about the boiling carmine sky.
"These clouds look odd to you?" he asked.
"Yes, you're observing cumulus."
"Maybe I'll get a look at what's up there now."
"The temperature is much lower here," Kaya said. 105 degrees. Rays of sun broke through the gaps in the lumpy clouds.
"How's it cooler if the sun is actually brighter?"
"I'm not sure," Kaya replied. "Get your FFA scanner, and I'll do another reading." Stryker took it out and held it into the sky until it chirped with a reading. "Interesting," Kaya said. "I'm detecting a change in atmospheric conditions."
"How so?"
"Oxygen levels are almost 22%, and there's only 1.4% carbon dioxide, which also explains the lower temperature."
"So the air is breathable?"
"Correct." Stryker rode up another dune, stopping again for the new view. The sand eventually gave way to brown dirt. A good mile away, he saw what looked like green foliage growing out of a canyon. With his rifle scope, he zoomed in on strangely thin trees protruding from the earth like sharp, straight eyelashes. "The exhaust trail leads to that outpost," Kaya said. A chirp sounded, and Stryker looked to the corner of his HUD, where adobe-style structures were built into a jagged wall of honeycombed limestone. A peninsula of rock stretched into the canyon on the other side of the outpost.
"Are we in range for you to scan yet?" he asked.
"I can see only slightly better than you can, and I haven't detected any movement."
"Guess I'm going to have to get closer."
"Sergeant, I would highly recommend that you flank and go in on foot." Stryker got back on the hoverbike and paused to consider this advice. Between him and the canyon lay a long strip of open terrain. Plenty of time for the sniper to take him out.
"How long will it take to cross on the eastern side of the canyon?" he asked.
2.5 minutes, Kaya replied.
"Continue scans. I don't want any surprises."
The wind rustled across the cracked dirt, whipping up a vortex of dust across the barren wastes bordering the canyon.
"All right, hold on to your pants. Standard issue or holographic. Whatever you got," Stryker said. "We're going in fast and hot."
The engine whined as Stryker bombed down the dune and headed east away from the outpost. Hitting the open plain, he twisted the throttle, gunning the hoverbike into the gusting wind. Grit blasted his visor. Something that felt like adrenaline rushed through his veins, and he wondered for the 1,000th time what was real. "Not picking up anything other than the flora," Kaya reported. "Give it a rip, Sarge." Stryker crouched down, trying to keep as streamlined as possible. The outpost buildings grew distant, and he put more space between himself and the potential laser bolt from a sniper.
"Steady," Stryker said calmly. "Just a little longer."
The bike closed the distance, only half a click now from the canyon. The battery was down to 10%, just enough for the trip back if he could find his target and dispatch it. Stryker slowed as he approached the rocky edge of the canyon. Stunted trees grew straight as lasers among the boulders rimming the cliffs. He looked for a place to hide the hoverbike and settled on a wall of thorny rust-colored bushes that matched the bike's metal. "Still not detecting any fauna," Kaya said. "However, I'm detecting a high-energy reading from the canyon." He dismounted from the bike, stashing it behind the foliage before he set off through the maze of gnarled bark and twisted roots, working his way down into the canyon. The wind blasted as he approached, forcing him to hunker down. "Careful, Sergeant. This energy source is enormous," Kaya said. Stryker kept his rifle at the ready as he fought the wind to get a look into the deep gorge. He expected to see an oasis below, or perhaps a river, or forested bottomland, not a row of metal structures that looked like modern-day pyramids.
"What are those?"
he asked. "Weather modification technology," Kaya said. "The actual model is top secret."
"I'm no scientist, but those must have something to do with the change in atmospheric readings."
"That would be the logical assumption." Stryker took off walking through the trees.
"Time for some answers," he said. "And I got a feeling whoever bombed the forward operating base is going to have them."
He trekked around the thorny bushes and sinewy trees, his armor changing colors with the terrain. When the adobe structures came into view, he hid himself and took a scan. "Looks clear," Kaya said. A field of boulders provided cover most of the way to the bridge of rock formations where the outpost overlooked the canyon. Keeping low, Stryker set off with his rifle shouldered. Pebbles crunched under his boots as he advanced. The dome-shaped outpost buildings were nestled into the rocks. Hundreds of windows provided a potential sniper a great vantage for shooting across the field. Stryker set off through the maze of boulders. He kept his eye on the buildings, searching for any sign of movement or glint of metal. A click sounded under his boot. "Sergeant, don't move," Kaya said. Stryker froze. Ignoring the rocky field was his mistake.
"What the interstellar fuck?"
he muttered, looking down. He was in a minefield. Although he didn't have the training down pat, his instincts kicked in. He slung his rifle over his back. Then he pulled out his knife, carefully bent down, and began to expose the rest of the mine. "Take extreme care," Kaya said.
"Shut up unless you've got something useful to say."
"Kaporia how?" "That means I'm sorry." Once Stryker had the cover off the mine, he gently pulled from his duty belt a small pin, which he inserted to prevent the mine's trigger from engaging once he stepped off. But the only way to find out if it worked was to lift his foot. Ever so slowly, he stood, sheathed the knife, and reached over his shoulder for his rifle.
"On 3, he whispered. 1, 2...
A flash of light came from his peripheral, and something hit him in the side, knocking him off the mine. He hit the dirt hard and didn't hear any explosion, but the pain to his ribs was breathtaking. "Sergeant," Kaya said. "Sergeant, you have to get up." He tried to move, but his limbs wouldn't respond. He felt as if he had just woken up from the cryo chamber again. Red encroached his vision from the sides. "Sergeant, someone's coming," Kaya said. Stryker blinked at boots walking through the minefield. The shape of camouflaged power armor came into focus. A few feet away, a figure bent down and lifted up an exterior visor over its helmet. Pale green eyes peered out at him from a bald head with a cropped gray beard. He recognized those eyes.
"Hello, Sergeant,"
the man said. Stryker recognized the voice. It was Lieutenant Fox. Chapter 8. "It's been almost 7 hours," Red said to no one. Still in shock about her past, she looked out over the desert. Another mysterious quake shook the dirt around her boots. Red returned to the burned walls of the command center at Forward Operating Base 1. The command room was dark, the monitors all offline, but they'd restored backup power to the lab. Beyond the filthy glass wall, she could see Dr. Sanchez working while Officer Meehan watched and documented the progress. "Still clear outside?" Red said. Ji flinched and turned. "Oh, you frightened me. What are you doing back here?" "Checking to see how much longer this is going to take. Stryker still isn't back." Cassie looked up from her microscope. The speakers buzzed as she spoke into her comlink. "I'm finishing up the last round of tests on this organic sample from the drone." "Do you know what it is yet?" Red stepped over for a better look. "A combination of molecules that are gaseous in their natural state but react to create this organic compound," Cassie replied. "I've never seen anything quite like it." She peered into a microscope. "When will you be finished with your tests?" Ji asked. "Soon. I've got most everything I need to write up a detailed report." "Good. Once you finish, we will proceed to Communication Station 1. "What about Stryker?" Red said. "If he's not back by then, you will take us to the satellite to upload the data and send it to—" "No. No way. We can't just abandon Stryker." Cassie looked away from the microscope to Ji, who didn't respond. "Oh, ignore me all you want," Red muttered. "But—" Another quake cut her off from saying something she would likely have regretted. "What are you going to say about that in your message?" Red asked. "Do you plan on telling the executive commander that this place is probably in a fault zone?" "Please return to your patrol and leave the message to me," Ji said. She turned to look through the glass. "Dr. Sanchez, proceed with your tests." Cassie gave Red a rueful look. The doctor had acted as a peacekeeper, but she hadn't challenged the officer much. Red went outside, wondering whether the anger was real or had been programmed into her. "You're real," she whispered. "You're still you." She walked over to the dirt where Fox had fallen. They had buried him after removing Kaya's memory chip. A mound of rocks marked his grave. Ji had begrudged the time it took to bury him, but Red had wanted to honor a man who had been human, a brave man who had led her squad into countless battles, a man resurrected after death to become a guardian. "That deserves honoring," she said. "Sorry, LT." Memories raced and collided in her mind like the clouds of her head. Some images from when she was just a child in the orphanage with the other cadets. She realized now that it wasn't an orphanage. It was an academy. She tried to remember before then, tried to remember her father and mother. "The Federation took that from you," she hissed. "They stole your past to try and give themselves a shot at a future." The clouds boomed again, the clapping prompting a memory of a battle in her distant past. "Or maybe not so distant," she whispered. Red simply didn't remember. She went back to patrol the perimeter, hoping to see the trail of dust from Stryker's hoverbike. Another hour ticked by, and still nothing. She turned back toward the command building when an alarm blared in the distance. It grew louder. "Officer Meehan, do you copy?" Red said over the comm channel. Static crackled in her helmet. Red rushed back to the lab. A robotic voice greeted her as she stepped inside, past the destroyed sentry gun that had killed Fox. "Caution! Contaminants present," said the automated voice. Inside the lab, Cassie stood with her gloved hands up against the glass. Ji watched with a data screen in one hand. "What happened?" Red asked. "Open the door!" Cassie shrieked. "I'm sorry, but that isn't possible," replied the robotic voice. "A level 4 toxin is present, and you will need to remain inside until decontamination procedures are followed." "Please, Officer Meehan," Cassie whimpered. Ji kept looking at her data screen. "Why aren't you letting her out?" Red asked. Ji ignored her, too. Cassie pounded the glass, her eyes wild behind her visor. "Corporal Reddle, let me out!" "Don't," Ji said, when Red moved to the door. "The lab has been contaminated, and we have to wait until Decon has secured the threat." Cassie let out another scream. On the ground, the red strand from the samples had multiplied into 3 glistening brick-red worms that slithered across the floor, leaving trails of sticky goo. They moved fast, and Cassie ran to get away until she hit a wall. "No!" she screamed. "Help! Please help me!" The worms multiplied again, and as she jumped over them, One latched onto her boot and started up her leg. Cassie kicked, but the worm suddenly started to change shape again. The moist skin hardened, and barbed hooks popped out and sank into her leg. An anguished howl resonated through the lab. "We have to do something!" Red shouted. She started to move toward the first of two glass doors. "Corporal, I said stand down," G said. "That's an order." "Fuck your orders." Red went to the keypad and hit the button. The doors whisked open, and she stepped into a space blocked off by the main lab door. She tried that one, but it remained closed. "Get back!" Red yelled. Cassie stumbled away from the door. "Corporal, do not do that!" G shouted. Red raised her rifle and aimed at the keypad. A flurry of shots pounded the pad. It hissed, but the door remained closed. She aimed it again at the glass, then felt the muzzle of a gun at the back of her neck. "You fire, and I fire," G said. "Don't believe me? Go ahead and test it. I will splatter your augmented brains all over if it means protecting our mission." "Please, help!" Cassie fell to the floor and pulled at a worm that had slithered onto her arm. It stretched and stretched, but wouldn't let go of her suit. Blood burst from her hand as hooks popped out of the creature and anchored into her flesh. She shook the worm with her hand, screaming in agony. "My God," Red stuttered. She thought about moving, but she believed the officer would kill her, and from the looks of it, she was already too late to help the doctor. Cassie let out a howl as a worm on her leg chewed a hole into her flesh and slithered under the skin. The screams rose to an animal yowl. Red watched in horror as the other worms crawled over her body to the opening. Cassie jerked on the floor as the worms tunneled inside her. A moment later, she heard a pop, and blood burst from her mouth, painting the inside of her visor. The doctor kicked a few times before the horror ended. She let out a final rattling breath that fogged her blood-spattered visor and went limp. Red closed her eyes, unable to look. "Commencing decontamination procedures," said a robotic voice. White spray exploded across the ceiling, showering the room and the doctor. Cassie lay still, covered in bubbly white froth. "You killed her," Red said, turning. "You fucking killed her!" "I did not kill her," G said calmly. "That organism killed her." Red lowered her rifle, but the officer kept her gun aimed at Red's head. Cassie convulsed. "What the—" Red mumbled. Dr. Sanchez sat up straight, tilting her head at them. "Cassie," Red said. "That's not Cassie anymore," G said. Red stepped back from the glass as the former medical officer pushed herself up, joints popping. She jerked and staggered over to the door, like a baby learning to walk. "What's happening to her?" Red asked. "There was one more experiment we had to complete," G said, "and this one required a field test since the previous data was destroyed." Cassie reached up to her helmet and plucked it off. Bloody tears still dripped down her cheeks. Groans erupted from her mouth. She reached out toward the glass. Then her head snapped back. Her hands went to her ears as if to shut out an excruciating noise. Red looked back to Officer Meehan in horror as the realization set in. "You did this on purpose?" Red asked. "This was just another test?" "This is bigger than all of us," G said. "The Federation will be able to find a cure thanks to the doctor's sacrifice. Then colonization can officially begin." Sergeant Stryker awoke from dreams of war to find himself in a dimly lit room. He took in a deep breath that smelt like smoke. Blinking, he opened his swollen eyelids to a data screen on the ceiling. Not the ceiling, he realized. The floor. He was hanging upside down, his ankles and hands bound. A man sat on a chair in front of the data screen, his boots up on a bench, and long hair flowing down his back from around his crown, which was bald as a monk's tonsure. He stroked his beard as he watched the screen. Suddenly he turned around, focusing green eyes on Stryker. "It wasn't a dream," Stryker whispered.
Nope.
Lieutenant Fox got up and walked over, his body slightly hunched and thinner than Stryker remembered. He wore a shirt with the Death Dealer logo on the breast.
"Sir, I saw you," Stryker said. "Die?" Fox asked. "I've died many times, Sergeant. And so have you."
He stopped in front of Stryker and crouched.
"You're lucky you're augmented," Fox said. "A normal man would have a hole in him big enough to see the sky after a hit from that laser bolt, but you're already healing."
Fox pulled a bandage over his ribs back to reveal a crusty scab. Stryker winced from the pain. "How long have I been out?" he muttered.
6 hours.
Stryker studied the wound that by all rights should have killed him.
"You know, right?" Fox said. "Know you're an augmented soldier. Highly adaptable to all environments. You heal faster and age slower. Just look at me. I've been out here 40 years.
Fox put the bandage back over the scab.
"I know, pretty hard to believe. I didn't believe it at first. Didn't want to believe it, maybe."
He stepped back and massaged his beard.
"It's a curse, really. I would rather have died that day at the space station, when your rope snapped and you went tumbling away into the cosmos, only to be picked up by a Federation shuttle and brought back."
I don't remember being picked up."
"I was on that shuttle, too. You, me, Dallas, Red, Kaya, and 50 others, all selected for this mission after the Augs killed us."
He stroked his beard.
"There are many of us, all cloned but with the same battle memories, grown in a lab and frozen like a side of beef."
He went to the data screen in the corner.
"Then there are the still less fortunate souls like Kaya."
The golden glow of the AI's hologram emerged on the floor. "Lieutenant Fox," she said, "how may I assist you tonight?" Her eyes flitted to Stryker. "You're hurt, Sergeant."
"Thanks for noticing."
Fox shrugged.
"I could have killed you if I wanted to."
Stryker shook his head.
"Yeah, I know," Fox said. "It's a mindfuck at first, but you'll get used to it if you stick around."
"The hardest part of all of this for me is understanding why you shot me and why you killed your clone back at Arc Station 2, AG Biodome."
"You just don't get it, do you?"
"No, I suppose not." Fox walked away and grabbed a remote, but she pointed at the shutters covering the windows.
"Because fuck humanity," he said. "They destroyed the Earth. Now they want to destroy this place, too." "What? What do you mean, what?" Fox smirked. "Oh, shit. You don't even know where you are yet, do you?"
Fox took out a knife and sawed through the rope dangling Stryker by his boots. Stryker landed hard on his shoulder. Rolling over onto his back, he stared out the windows at 2 orange stars. After a few blinks, the stars resolved into twin moons hovering high in the broken cloud cover.
"That ain't Earth, son," Fox said. "You're on OR9, one of a dozen potential planets for colonization."
"Bullshit," Stryker said. But suddenly, when he thought about it, this development didn't sound all that crazy. Still, he wasn't sure what to believe. Ever since he climbed out of his cryopod, he had faced lie after lie. He squirmed, his hands still tied behind his back. Fox pointed a pistol at him.
"Don't try anything. I'm faster than I look."
"I won't."
"Good. I'm gonna go take a piss. Kaya, watch over our friend here."
"You got it, sir." Fox left the room.
"Kaya, you gotta let me out of here," Stryker said.
"I have to get back to my team." "I'm sorry, Sergeant, but I can't do that."
"Why not?"
The lieutenant's voice came from the speakers in the room.
"Stryker, you may be thinking this isn't the same Kaya that was assigned to your team, and you'd be right. There are many like her."
Stryker cursed. "Sorry, Sergeant," Kaya said. Fox came back and stepped up to the windows overlooking the canyon.
"The war ended a millennium ago after we destroyed Earth," he said. "The Federation sent out ships to Goldilocks zones, and after 500 years of travel, the shuttles reached OR9. Unfortunately, it wasn't habitable when we got here."
"That's what the weather mod tech is for?" Stryker asked.
"Yes. The terraformers were supposed to work over a period of 10 to 100 years. That's why one team was sent out every 10 years to send back results."
"And one by one, you've been killing those teams?"
"Not all of them, and not by choice. I've given them the same offer I'll make you."
"What offer is that?"
"To help me make sure humanity stays away from this place."
Fox bent down.
"I always liked you, Sergeant. You're a good man and a damn fine soldier. But our former species doesn't deserve a second chance."
"Humans aren't all bad, sir."
Fox snorted. "Humans are a virus, and fortunately this planet has a natural cure. Spores in the air."
"The Zimmer fungus."
"Yeah, that's what the first team's doc called it. A guy named Zimmer.
Stryker swallowed, trying to buy time. The Augie lieutenant had turned into a raving maniac. What about the other Augies? The ones we fought on Earth? They're here too, you know.
We exterminate them, Fox said. They aren't the same as us. They're all machine.
He pulled a flask from his vest and took a slug. He wiped his beard and bent down to offer Stryker a drink.
Go ahead, it ain't poison, Fox said.
Stryker took a sip, felt the warmth of alcohol burning down into his belly.
This was supposed to be a second chance for humanity, and we, the Guardians, were supposed to help them achieve it. But it was all based on a lie about who we are.
I'm just as mad as you, Stryker said, but I don't think that justifies what you're doing, sir. Fox glared at him, his bearded face twisting into a snarl.
We're the future now, Sergeant. The only question I have left is whether you're with me or not.
You're not giving me a choice, it sounds like.
Oh, you've got two of them.
Fox put the flask away and unholstered his pistol.
A bolt to the head, or join me in the most important mission of your life, to become a real Guardian.
Stryker looked up.
A Guardian to protect this world against those who would destroy it.
If you want to do that, you better not let Officer Meehan get a transmission through to the executive commander, he said. She's probably on her way there now. Untie me, and I'll go with you to stop her. Fox smirked.
They won't make it.
Why is that?
The Shades guard that place, he said. That's why I never tried to destroy it.
Shades?
You saw them in the canyon. They're natives of this planet, an extraterrestrial life form unlike any we've encountered. From what I understand, they were awoken from deep below the surface when the Federation ships buried the arc stations and left the terraformers.
That's why they were coming out of the hydrothermal vents, Stryker said.
Yep, the Shades and that fungus. It's all part of this planet's immune system. To kill off cancers like humanity before they can get a foothold.
The shutters closed over the windows, and Fox returned to his chair and took a seat, crossing his arms over his chest.
You did the right thing the night Dallas died, he said. Running and hiding is the only way I've survived in this hostile hell all these years. There's no way humanity could ever make this planet home.
Chapter 9. Cassie huddled in a corner of the lab.
"Help me!"
she wailed.
"It's all going to be over soon," she said. "Take comfort in the fact that you've made the ultimate sacrifice for your species. Your name will live on for generations to come."
Cassie slammed her head against the wall, leaving a smear of blood across the white surface. Then she bent over and vomited chunky fluid onto the lab floor.
"Let me end her suffering," Red pleaded. "Please, Officer Meehan, have mercy."
Cassie reached up, clawing at the growths around her eyes.
"Officer Meehan, this is criminal,"
Red said.
"This is science."
She tapped at her data screen.
"What we have done here will ensure that the human race survives once colonization begins. But the only way is to understand one final thing. The Zimmer fungus."
Cassie sank to the floor, arching her back and then flipping over onto her belly. She scrabbled her way over to the lab's glass wall. The orange fungus looked like warts protruding from her ears and around her lips. More of the corallic growths crusted around her eyes. She gasped for air, wheezing out blood.
"Please, help!" "Let me end this," Red said. "You have enough data."
"Request denied. I need to record all this and then take samples," G replied. Cassie opened her mouth and tried to spit out the hard, barnacle-like orange growths surrounding her lips. A scream unrecognizable as human came from her throat. She vomited more of the lumpy orange liquid, splashing the glass window.
"Fascinating," G said.
Red felt the anger growing inside her. When it finally burned too hot for her to resist, she whipped out her knife, the only weapon that G hadn't made her put down. She slashed in a tight arc, but the blade stopped an inch from the officer's throat. G flinched, then heaved a long, suffering sigh.
"You can't kill me, Corporal. It's in your programming."
"What the unholy fuck?" Red gasped. She tried to move her hand, but it was frozen in place, as if it didn't belong to her. And it didn't. Her hand, along with the rest of her, belonged to the Federation.
"I might not be able to stop you, but I won't help you."
"Is that so?" Gia moved away from the knife and put her pistol to Red's head.
"You will not screw this mission up, Riddle. My husband will not have died in vain. So that's what this is about? You're murdering Dr. Sanchez, an innocent woman, because your husband died in that bunker? She snorted in annoyance. I wouldn't expect you to understand any of this. After all, you aren't human. But I was, and part of me still is human. Cassie sucked in deep, rattling breaths, and then slumped to the ground. She convulsed, then fell limp. You can't begin, she began, before a popping sound distracted her. All at once, the growths exploded across Cassie's body, releasing an orange mist of spores into the air. Oh, God, Red breathed. G stepped up to the glass and bowed her head slightly. Thank you for your sacrifice, Dr. Sanchez, said the officer. The final test is now complete. Then she turned and again put the pistol in Red's face. You will take me to the communication station. You will help me complete the mission, and you will protect the remaining Federation assets until colonization begins. And why would I do that? Because if you don't, I will kill you, and I will send the executive commander a transmission about a rogue Augie that tried to sabotage the most important mission in the history of our species. G shrugged one shoulder. Your choice. Form an everlasting legacy that will earn you a place as a hero in history, or become a villain, a very dead one. Red slowly pulled back her knife. Good choice, G said. Now, grab your gear. We leave for the communication station in 15. Red resisted, not because she was trying to stall, but because leaving in 15 would mean going outside at night. It's -30 outside, she said. Then we better hurry to the comm station. It's only 2.8 miles. While Red packed up her gear, G went to an auxiliary lab station where she could connect to robotic arms inside the lab. Using the mechanical fingers and implements, she lifted specimens of fungus, blood, and flesh from the doctor's corpse. Red forced herself to look away. When G had finished collecting the samples and data, they went to the sealed-off doorway leading outside. Don't try anything, G said. This isn't about you or me or my husband. This is about humanity. It can't be about humanity if you lose your humanity in the process. Just open the door, Corporal. Red did that, and started out through the base, the frozen ground crunching under her boots. She slowed as they passed the mound of rocks marking Lieutenant Fox's grave. A new memory of the man surfaced. Not a battle, but a time when he stood with her at a mountain lake above the academy. It was graduation day, and he had pulled her aside. Your parents abandoned you at birth like mine did, he had said. But you have a new family now, Ramona, and I'm proud of the woman you've become. She remembered him hugging her instead of shaking her hand. Fox wasn't just the leader she had followed into battle. He was her friend, and the only father figure she had ever known. The memory ate at Red. A mixture of emotions rushed through her as she made her way into the foothills. The chimney of rocks rose toward the scudding clouds. G followed cautiously. She carried the pack of gear that would complete the mission. All the data, all the samples, and the Zimmer fungus. How long will it take for them to get here once you upload the data? Red asked. For who to get here? The colonists. G shook her helmet. They're already here. Already here? Focus on getting us to the comm station, Reddle. Red followed a narrow path, saving her questions. She didn't trust G to give her the truth anyway. The only way to the truth was to find it. The foothills ended, and another flat stretch of desert stretched before them. Not completely flat. What is that? Red whispered. Those are the satellites, G said. Come on, let's move. Hold up. Red turned on her infrared scope. She could see 3 satellite dishes and a domed building on the horizon. 2 long shed-like structures stood to one side, perhaps warehouses of some kind. She waved at G to get down when she noticed something moving. What? G asked. I thought I saw a heat signature. G raised her binos. Where? Red crouched with a rifle. I don't see it now, but there was a heat signature between those 2 warehouses. G waited a moment before replying, I don't see anything. It's gone now. Red got up and kept walking with her scope pressed to her visor. It wasn't long until she saw movement again and halted. I see it near the satellites now. She raised and then lowered her binos. Don't mess with me, Riddle. I'm warning you. Don't mess with you? Okay, remind me of the two of us. Who's the liar? Red pressed on, her finger hovering over the trigger of her rifle. The heat signature came again. Shaped like a nerve cell, it flickered on the ground in front of the domed building. It vanished a moment later and re-emerged on top of the satellites. I see it now, G said. This is what fried Dallas, Red said. Stryker said he drained an entire laser battery and didn't even wound it. The officer seemed to be thinking about her next move. Finally, she flashed a hand signal for Red to advance. They pushed onward to within 100 feet of the satellites. Red stopped again, this time at the sight of 3 shimmering heat signatures. There are more, she said. Yes, back up, Red said. Slowly. No, keep going. We're almost there. What? She whispered. There, go to that door, or I'll kill you right here. The heat signatures stopped shimmering and seemed to solidify, their limbs glowing for a few seconds as they undulated like jellyfish in water. We're not going to make it past those things, Red said. They're guarding this place. Then shoot them, Corporal. That's an order. Did you not hear what I said about— G let out a huff and raised her pistol. The moment she did, the signatures flickered away. Wind whooshed in the distance. Red peered through her scope and gasped. The entire formation of creatures was surging toward them. She dived to the dirt, but G remained standing, firing off a flurry of shots. Rolling to her back, Red watched G jerk from the impact of the thing slamming into her. All 3 nuclei glowed bright enough that Red could see the entire bodies of the creatures without the aid of her scope. "Help me!" G screamed. "Riddle!" The dendritic limbs wrapped around her, lifting her up into the air while the bodies attached like magnets to her armor. An electrical pop, then 2 more. The limbs uncurled, releasing the officer. The glowing creatures, brighter now, floated lazily overhead. G hit the ground hard, smashing the contents of her backpack. The airborne entities hovered toward Red. She kept her rifle lowered and closed her eyes, bracing for the attack. It didn't come. When she opened her eyes again, the glowing creatures had retreated. Something had spooked them. Red pushed herself up and walked over to G's limp body. Smoke rose off her armor where electrical currents had surged through her life support systems. But somehow she was still alive, her chest rising and falling slowly. "G," Red said. Bending closer, she could see that the officer's suit was offline. Smoke curled out of her backpack. "G, can you hear me?" "Corporal?" Red crouched. "Can you move?" "I can't feel my legs." Red looked over her shoulder. The creatures were farther away now and seemed to be observing them. "Please," she said. "Help me get to the building. Don't leave me out here." "You mean like you left Dr. Sanchez?" Red said. "I must finish the mission." "I'll finish the mission, don't worry." "The message must be from me," G said. She coughed. "Please, you have to get me to the satellite uplink." Bending down, Red grabbed G under the armpit, just as something crawled out of the crushed backpack. "Oh, shit," Red said, dropping G. "No," G mumbled. She tried to reach up, hand shaking. "Corporal, I'm ordering you to help." Red backed away from the officer, who let out a wail of agony. Now Red knew why the jellyfish creatures had fled. A cluster of red, wormy strands wriggled out of the backpack and squirmed across the paralyzed officer's arms, to her chest and up the neck. "Oh, God! Oh, God!" G moaned. The strands wriggled through her cracked helmet and into her mouth as she let out a ragged scream. Fox snored in a chair in front of Stryker, but that didn't mean he was in a deep sleep state. The LT had always been a light sleeper, and Stryker assumed the augmented version was similar. He certainly wasn't going to try to escape right now. At the moment, Stryker also needed sleep. It didn't take him long to drift off. This time his mind was full of peaceful memories. A brief time when the Augies had stopped their assaults on Federation zones, and Red and Stryker had taken leave to Italy's Amalfi coast. He remembered snippets of that wonderful week. In the memory, he remembered sitting on a porch swing on the terrace of their villa. They had a view of the bay below, and a sunset of iridescent fire. Red was curled up beside him, her head on his shoulder. She had looked up, found his eyes, and they had kissed. Not just a friend, not just a teammate. She was his lover. Stryker snapped awake, heart pounding. "Red," he whispered. She was in danger. "You have to find a way out of here. You have to find Red before it's too late." He looked around the outpost supply room, lit by a double dose of moonlight from the oval windows. Stacks of gear and shelves of water and dried food filled the space. In the glow from the data screen, he could see his power armor across the room, stacked beside his gear and weapons. If he could just get to them, he might have a chance of escaping to the communication station before Red, Dr. Sanchez, and Officer Meehan got there. Stryker moved his wrists behind his back, sawing the rope back and forth against itself. If he could get his hands free, he could probably free his feet, too. Fox was snoring away with a loud rattle. He licked his chops and then sat up, both eyes flitting to Stryker, who froze.
"Can't sleep?"
Fox asked.
"You ever sleep sitting up with your hands and feet tied? You must not remember being captured by the Augies in Greenland,"
Fox said. "No, I still don't remember much." Fox wiped his mouth off.
"We were pinned down by a group of augmechs and waiting for a heavily armored penguin for evac. You got the idea of flanking the enemy and dragged Dallas along with you."
"I don't remember."
"You took out a few mechs, but they took you two captive. And me after I came to rescue your dumbasses. We all ended up naked in a freezing room, shackled like beasts."
He chuckled.
"So yeah, I know a thing or two about sleeping bound."
An alarm blared, and Fox shot out of his chair. "What's happening?" Stryker asked. Fox grabbed his rifle and ran over to a bank of data screens. He touched the translucent screen, fingering through the video feed.
"The sensors at Communication Center 1, he said. "Looks like your team made it there after all."
Another alarm chirped from across the room. This time Fox just looked at it as if he couldn't believe it.
No, he said, darting over. "This can't be happening."
Stryker tried to get out of his chair and fell on his face.
"What?" he said. "The shades, goddammit," Fox said. "They must be planning something. They never come this far. How many are there, Kaya?"
"Sir, I'm detecting 20 energy forms," Kaya said. Fox ran over to a button on the wall and clicked it. Shutters slammed over the windows in the other rooms, sealing the outpost in silence. They hurried back to the data screens and shut them down.
"If we stay put, we'll be fine," Fox said. "But they're drawn to energy and noise."
"You need me, LT. Let me out of these ropes so I can fight," Stryker said. Fox grunted and walked over and pulled his knife.
"You try anything, I won't blink at putting you down."
"I know." Stryker held still as Fox cut through the ropes on his wrists, then on his ankles. "Thanks," Stryker said, massaging his wrists.
"Kaya, I need you virtually dark," Fox said. "Audio only."
"Got it." Her golden glow vanished, plunging the room into darkness. Stryker thought about using the opportunity to rush Fox, but with the shades lurking outside, it was too risky. They needed each other, even if their views of humanity didn't jibe.
"Here," Fox said.
Footsteps sounded, and Stryker felt something hit his hand.
"Put this on. It's an upgraded version of your helmet. Comes with an infrared scanner to see the shades."
Stryker put it on.
"Nice," he said.
"But how about a weapon to kill these things?"
"Kill them?" Fox laughed. "Son, we can't kill them. Everyone I've seen that stood up to one has died."
"There's got to be something. There's always a way to defeat an enemy."
"You don't get it, Sergeant."
"What I get is, a team is going to the communication center to send a message that will bring the Federation here."
"They won't survive."
"You really want to take that chance?"
"It's not taking a chance. There's no way they survive. I've been out here 40 years, Sergeant. I know what those things can do."
Kaya's voice came from a speaker. "Lieutenant Fox, the life forms are entering the facility." Fox drew in a breath.
"We have to go," he said. "Suit up and get into your armor."
They both dressed quickly, and while Fox wasn't looking, Stryker grabbed the memory chip that contained the version of Kaya assigned to his team.
"This way," Fox said.
He led the way down a stairwell. Stryker winced from his injury as they pounded down the stairs. At the bottom level, Fox opened a door to a garage with several armored vehicles and a row of hoverbikes.
"We take the bikes," he said. "They're faster."
Stryker got on one, wincing again.
"Try anything cute and I will kill you, Stryker," Fox said. Yeah, you said that a couple of times already.
Fox fired up the bike and told Kaya to open the door.
Follow me, he said.
The bikes purred to life, and they zoomed down a tunnel. At the end of the passage, another door opened. The hoverbike screamed toward it, side by side. It almost seemed just like old times, riding alongside the lieutenant, a man who had saved his ass countless times and led the death dealers with honor and bravery. Stryker hated what he had to do, but the man next to him wasn't a man. He was an augmented maniac in the image of a man Stryker once knew and respected. And whatever Stryker's misgivings about the Federation, he couldn't let the lieutenant sabotage this mission, not when the future of humanity depended on it.
We got 2 shades waiting for us, Fox said. Go fast and hard.
Stryker nodded and cranked the throttle to keep up with Fox. The bike vroomed, engines screaming. They raced to the end of the tunnel, and just as they were about to burst through, Stryker slammed his bike into Fox's.
No!
The lieutenant screamed. His bike hit the tunnel wall in a shower of sparks as Stryker shot outside under the glow of the 2 moons. The starfish-shaped cells surged toward his hoverbike, their long prehensile arms whipping at him. He ducked, hugging the bike and swerving around the 2 hostiles. Behind him, Fox screamed as his bike went down and skidded, exploding against a rock. Stryker looked over his shoulder to see the lieutenant's body tumble, roll, and finally stop. Broken and battered, but somehow still alive, Fox reached up.
Stryker!
He shouted over the comm channel.
I'm sorry, LT. I don't know exactly what I am, but I can't let you destroy humanity, Stryker replied.
Then he shut off the comms and reached into his vest. He pulled out the memory chip and inserted it in his wrist computer. Sergeant Stryker, Kaya said, confused.
I never thought I'd say this, but it's good to hear your voice, you crazy damn Kiwi.
What happened? The last thing I remember was being blown out of the sky in the drone, and then Lieutenant Fox was shot down by a sentry gun. Where is he?
Long story. For now, just get me to comm station 1, Stryker said. Then I'll need you to provide a bit of a distraction.
You got it, Sarge. I got just the plan. Chapter 10. Red shivered in the dusty control room. She had to restore backup power to the comm station, and the cables were twisted and tangled like a den of hibernating snakes. As she worked in the dark, the events of the past few days played in her mind. All the deaths, all the shocking revelations, and the truth behind the mission. But the hardest pill to swallow was that she might be the last hope for the Federation and humanity, now that G was dead. With Stryker still not back, she feared the worst. Come on, she muttered as she chased the cords down. Once she finished labeling them, she plugged them in and then went to the breaker. Please work. She threw the lever. A distant humming sounded, followed by the banging of relays and the blinking on of lights, and chirping of data screens as they warmed to life. Yes, she whispered. She held her wrist over the chip scanner on the dashboard. A red light glowed across her armor, reading the chip buried under her skin. Welcome to Communications Center 1, Corporal Reddle. My name is Francis, said a deep male voice. Rebooting all systems. She took a seat at the command module data screens. Francis, can you bring the security cameras online? Bringing them online now, Corporal. Dark footage played on the center data screen. Switch to infrared, in night mode, she said. Stand by. The screens changed colors, and Red leaned closer to examine the heat signatures. She could see 2 of them clearly now. Where's their head, the brain? They do not have a brain, Francis said. How's that possible? Corporal, you should know that both of them are moving toward the front entrance, Francis said. Can they get in? Not that way, Corporal. Red relaxed slightly and clicked on the screen to enlarge the image. I've detected 3 more near the satellites, Corporal, Francis said. I've also located what appears to be a female human outside, in need of medical assistance. The cameras panned over to a body resting in the dirt. The body was still warm, but Red realized why a moment later. What in the universe? She whispered. A ring of orange was growing out of the broken helmet visor. That's Officer Meehan. And she's dead, Red said. Nothing I can do for her now. Actually, she's not. The life scan sensors are detecting an elevated heartbeat and brain activity. Wait, how is that possible? The cold alone should have killed her.
The Zimmer fungus can survive extreme temperatures, both cold and hot. It keeps the host alive until it has a chance to release its spores, Francis said. Corporal, perhaps you should help Officer Meehan while she is still alive.
If you knew what she did, you wouldn't say that.
My job is to protect human life in the interests of the Federation, and your duty is to do the same as a soldier with—
Sorry to short your circuits, pal, but the Zimmer fungus is lethal, and if I go out there, I'm dead too.
I can't force you, but I will note this.
Note all you want. I don't give two interstellar shits. I've got nothing left to lose.
Red moved to another screen. The life forms seemed to fly, their spiked limbs whipping back and forth around the nucleus.
What are they?
Red asked. An immune response to threats, much like white blood cells in a human.
A response to us? To what we did to the Earth? To make sure we don't destroy the next planet too?
In a sense, but— Francis paused a moment. Corporal, I'm detecting a new life form approaching.
What?
Red moved for a different view.
Show me.
The camera angled toward a hoverbike that was speeding toward the building.
Can you identify them?
Red asked. It appears to be another Federation soldier. Red had hoped it was Stryker, but the rider had on a different helmet.
Lock down the entire facility, she said.
I already have, Corporal.
She grabbed her rifle and ran into a hallway that led to the front doors. Flipping open a shutter, she looked outside. Her heart thumped so loud she could hear it in her ears. She wasn't the last person after all, but she had no idea whether this one was ally or enemy. The man hopped off the hoverbike and made a run for the door, yelling something. She raised her rifle and looked for heat signatures. Two of the starfish-like creatures slammed into the engine of the bike. The soldier got to the door and pounded.
"Let me in!"
That voice.
"Red! G! Cassie! Someone!" he shouted. "Please open the door."
"Stryker,"
Red whispered. It could be a trick, but she decided it was worth the risk.
"Francis, unlock the entrance door," she ordered.
The door clicked and slid open. She stepped back with the rifle aimed at the man's modified helmet.
"Red, don't shoot!
It's me, Stryker." He put his hands up, breathing heavily as the door slid shut behind him.
"Lock the door,"
Red ordered. It clicked.
"Took you long enough,"
Stryker said.
"Those things—
Is it really you?"
Red interrupted. She stepped up closer, and he flipped up his visor to reveal the strong jawline and dark brown eyes she had known for longer than she could fathom. He reached out for her, but she backed away, unsure what he was trying to do.
"It's okay,"
he said. Stryker took another step toward her and gently put his arms around her.
"It's okay,"
he repeated. "I'm not going to hurt you." She let herself relax in his arms, but her body trembled. From the cold, from fear, from the unknown.
"Everything's going to be okay," he said.
"I thought you were—"
"So did I. But I'm here, and we're both alive."
He pulled away, and she stepped up to the window.
"How'd you get past them?"
"Kaya's doing her dance thing," Stryker said. "Not sure how long it will keep them out there, though. Where's everyone else?"
"You didn't see Officer Meehan?"
He stepped up next to Red.
"No, where?"
"Those things got her," she explained.
"You don't sound too broken up about it."
Stryker looked down the hall. "Where's Dr. Sanchez?"
"Dead. Murdered by Officer Meehan."
"Murdered?"
"She infected Dr. Sanchez with the fungus on purpose to complete a final field test."
"Holy shit."
"Did you find the sniper?"
"Yeah, and you were right. It was a Federation soldier."
"Why would they try and kill us?"
"You're not going to believe me."
"Try me."
"It was Lieutenant Fox."
Red laughed nervously.
"Not the one we saw die.
"A clone of him," Stryker said, talking faster.
"I know it all sounds insane, but it's the truth. I've seen it with my own eyes."
"This all seems like a bad dream. It's hard to believe."
"Then you're probably not going to believe this part, but you need to hear it." Red took in a deep breath. "We're not just augmented. We're clones, sent here to complete the pre-colonization tests, and then if we survive, to assist with the first step of colonization."
"Colonization?"
"Oh, you don't know about that either. Well, better brace yourself." Stryker paused. "This isn't Earth. Haven't you seen the 2 moons?"
"What?"
Red narrowed her eyes at him.
"There are 2 moons out there."
"All I saw were clouds, but it was also daytime."
Red let out a breath.
Back up and slow down. Stryker repeated everything. And those things outside? She asked.
Alien to us, but native to this planet, he said. What Fox called shades. He said the Federation drilling rigs woke them when the first ships arrived and buried the arc stations and terraformers.
Red shook her head.
I know, it's all nuts, but we still have a job to do, and Kaya can't distract the shades forever, so let's get this mission from hell over with.
Stryker, Red said as she followed him down the hall, I don't think you understand.
Understand what?
The mission is over.
Just because Officer Meehan is dead doesn't mean we can't send the message and upload the test data.
But if we do that, and the Federation starts colonization, it could wipe out a significant portion of what's left of humanity, if not the entire species.
Red put a hand on his shoulder.
You were right. The surface did kill the other teams. This planet isn't habitable, even with the terraformers.
That's what Fox believed, too.
Yeah, but he also hated humanity, called us a virus. So I don't buy whatever came out of his mouth.
Maybe not. But is it worth the risk of extinction?
Red paced in front of him, recalling what the AI here had told her. Francis said those things are protectors of this planet, like a cell maybe, but a T-cell type that kills threats, and they won't stop till we're dead. Plus they're Augies here, like us.
Not like us, Stryker said. We're not like the enemy. We're clones, and though we're augmented, we were people. We had lives at one point. We're not just droids.
Red followed him down another hall to the command center. He seemed to think for a few minutes, then sat at the satellite terminal and pushed the comm mic to his lips.
This is Sergeant Nate Stryker from Arc Station 2 and Corporal Reddle, he said. We are the two remaining Guardians, and have completed our mission.
Stryker,
Red hissed. We have determined that OR9 is not habitable for human life in its current state. Deadly fungal spores live in the atmosphere, and hostile life forms are present on the surface and in the atmosphere.
Stryker paused.
OR9 is not the second chance we had hoped for.
Stryker reached to hit the transmit button but paused. He turned to Red.
There's no future here for anyone. Not even us, he said.
So what do we do?
Fox said there are shuttles at Arc Station 2. We'll go in the morning. Maybe there's another second chance out there. Not just for humanity, but for us.
What if that's just your programming talking? Red asked. What if there's no place for us? What if no matter where we go, we will just be tools of humanity, and once we do find them a home, they just discard us like trash?
We can't stay here, Red.
I know.
I don't know what I am or who I was exactly, but together we can find out, Stryker said. You and I can live, someplace the enemy Augies haven't found.
She stared at him, unsure.
And if we can find another planet and save humanity, then we should. But this isn't that place, Stryker said. We owe it to our species to try, don't you think?
She let out a sigh and then reached out. Yes, she said. I'm with you, Stryker. Taking her hand in his, he pushed the transmit button to send the message via the satellite. Then he shut off the power to the comm station. Darkness filled the room, and they sat huddled together in the cold. Red knew she wasn't human, but she still thought of herself and Stryker as people. The last two people on Earth. Stryker sped toward the mountains on the hoverbike, with Red's arms wrapped around his waist.
Kaya, you've been quiet. You still there? Stryker asked over the comm channel.
Yes, replied the Maori AI. I've been waiting for orders.
I need a route to the shuttles for evac.
Routing. A map popped up on the HUD of Stryker's helmet. The shuttles are located in a chamber connected by a tunnel at floor 50 of the station, Kaya said.
See, if you just told us this before, we would have hopped on and left from the beginning, Stryker said. Would have saved us a lot of problems. And lives.
Yes, and you know why I couldn't do that, Sergeant.
Top secret, classified bullshit. But you're past all that now, right?
Correct, now that you're the ranking member of your team.
Oh, if that's the case, then I'd appreciate some peace and quiet, Stryker said.
What if I detect life forms? Kaya asked. Would you— The two of you sound like squabbling little girls, Red said. How about you both shut up? Just let me enjoy our last ride across this shitty planet. Stryker cranked the throttle without warning, speeding toward the mountains, the Arc Station, and safety. The orange clouds swirled over the peaks, and thunder clapped somewhere high above. He gazed up at the soup of rust-colored stratocumulus. If all went to plan, they would soon be blasting through those clouds. Then he could think all about the questions tumbling about in his mind. Although he still wasn't sure exactly what he was now, or who he had been in his past life, he had a new mission: to find out, and to survive, with Red. Maybe they would get a shot at a real life together. The mountains grew closer, and he pulled behind a rock formation. "Here we go," he said. "We have no idea what we're walking into, Red, so stay sharp." An hour of hiking through the foothills got them back to the cliffs. From there, they took a steep trail to the entrance of Arc Station 2. "Back where we started," Red said. "Hope the entire place hasn't collapsed," Stryker said. "Kaya, are you detecting any seismic activity?" "Negative." "Good. That means we have a window," Stryker said. "Kaya, open the doors." He and Red both raised their rifles and aimed at the dust-covered door. It creaked and split apart to reveal the ribbed tunnel beyond. "Clear," she said. Stryker took the lead, trying to mask any pain from his injury. The wound had scabbed over, but his ribs were still bruised from the impact. Rappelling down the cracked silo walls to the landing for Depot 1 hurt worse than the hike to the facility. His boots finally hit the deck, which was covered in hunks of broken concrete and mangled metal. The journey back into the bowels of the dark facility filled Stryker with dread. "We fought to get out of this tomb. Now we're heading back in," he said. "Not for long," Red said. "Just got to find those shuttles." "The entry requires you go through Station 5, Kaya said. "I don't have access to this door, but I think you know how to gain entry." They stopped at the landing of floor 50, and the door marked Station 5. Red pointed a rifle and blasted the keypad. The door hissed open, and they headed down the dark hallway. The station was just like the one they had searched before, consisting of a barracks, offices, a mess hall, cryo-chambers, and a medical bay. But unlike the others, it had another door, marked with a sign. "Authorized personnel only," Stryker said. "Try it, Red." She twisted the handle, and to his surprise it clicked open. "Another team must have gained access," she whispered. "Kaya, can you confirm that?" "You will need to connect me to the systems," she replied. Stryker stepped gingerly onto a metal platform that stretched across the chamber. He angled his light down, but couldn't see the bottom. They walked across the bridge to a rusted metal silo with barnacle-like incrustations along the sides. "What's all the crusty shit?" Red asked. "I think it's dormant Zimmer fungus," Stryker said. "The entry hatch is just ahead," Kaya said. Stryker walked up to the hatch and tried to peer through a filthy porthole. He held out his wrist to the keypad, and a red light shot out for a scan. "Access denied," said a male robotic voice. "Type in this code," Kaya said. X1419YF410. Stryker tapped them into the keypad, and the door hissed open. He and Red walked side by side into the tunnel. Several more hatches were fitted to the metal bulkheads. "Talk about a tomb," Red said. "This place reminds me of a morgue." "This is no morgue," Kaya said. Her hologram came to life, and she stepped over to a hatch halfway down the passage. "See for yourself." Stryker went up to the keypad and typed in a new code. The door opened to a chamber with a vaulted ceiling. Covering the floor, with only enough room for a body to pass between them, were cryotubes containing sleeping colonists. "I'll be damned," he said. "There's got to be thousands of people here," Red stammered. 2,000 colonists to be exact, Kaya said. "This silo hasn't been compromised," Stryker said. "They all look intact." "How's that possible?" Red asked. "This isn't a silo, Sergeant," Kaya said. "This is the Goliath." "The what?" "An interstellar ship. It was in design when we were all killed during the war," Kaya said. "These vessels were deployed after the war ended, and Earth became uninhabitable." "Amazing," Red said. "There's also a vault with the DNA of animals and the seeds of plant species," Kaya said. "And it's all operational?" Stryker asked. "You'll need to connect me to the ship's computer for that information as well." Stryker walked over to an interface and inserted the memory chip. Kaya's eyelids fluttered. A moment later, they flipped open. 95% of the specimens have survived," she said cheerfully. One more question, Stryker said. Can you fly this ship? I thought you'd never ask, Kaya replied. Follow your HUD. I'll mark the way to the bridge. Stryker smiled for the first time in days as he made his way out of the life support chamber. Another hatch led them to a ladder, then another passage with closed hatches and also some that were open to reveal perfectly preserved spaces. This place is like a museum, Red said. Everything is airtight to protect the integrity of the cryo chambers, Kaya said. Backup power is still at 65%. Let's hope everything still works, Stryker said. He stopped outside the bridge. Kaya, open the door. Sergeant, it appears someone... The door suddenly whisked open, and a flurry of laser bolts flashed out before Stryker could react. A hot laser lanced into his chest, knocking him backward. Red got off a shot before another flurry of bolts punched into her. She slumped next to him, her body limp as soon as it hit the deck. No, Stryker choked out. It tried to move as adrenaline damped the pain, but the wound was too much even for his augmented body to bear. He lay there stunned, unable to do anything, as boots clicked across the deck.
Figured you'd come here,
said a crackly voice. A soldier stopped in front of Stryker, pointing a rifle at his chest. He flipped up his visor, and Stryker saw a man he had already watched die twice. Lieutenant Fox stared down, with a broken nose and a bandage over one eye.
I told you I'd kill you if you tried anything, he said, and I'm a man of my word. You should have finished me back there.
Stryker managed to move his arm, but Fox shot him in the wrist. Lieutenant Fox, please stop this, Kaya shouted. Her hologram emerged in front of him. Stryker screamed in agony. He moved his other arm, but Fox shot that one too.
You're a fighter, I'll give you that, Fox said. I didn't want things to go down like this. I thought I'd finally found someone like me, who would take the war to our creators.
Our creators? Stryker groaned. There are parts of us that are still human.
The bad parts, the cancerous parts,
Fox said. He crouched in front of Stryker.
Humanity is like the Zimmer fungus. It kills everything it touches, and it spreads everywhere.
That's not true, Lieutenant, Kaya said. Humanity
failed, Fox said. There's no future for the species.
He stood up and looked into the bridge.
You did make me realize one thing, Sergeant, Fox said. You made me realize that there's no future for our kind on this planet. So I guess I'll take this shuttle and find a new home, after I destroy the colonists.
You can't do that, Kaya said. I won't help you.
I don't need you to get myself off this rock, Fox said. I got my own version of you, Kaya.
You're not going anywhere, said a pained voice. Fox turned with his rifle, but not fast enough. His visor suddenly vanished in a spray of glass, metal, and bone. His body thumped to the ground, leaking blue and white augmented blood. Stryker tried to move, but his augmented body was broken beyond repair. His eyes flitted over to where Red had fallen.
Red,
he groaned. She crawled over and got up on her knees, one hand gripping her belly, where a laser bolt had punched through her armor and flesh. Another blast had taken off her left arm at the shoulder.
Stryker,
she whispered in agony.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. We're going to be okay, she winced. Just like you said, right? Red grabbed his hand, although he couldn't feel it.
Right,
he replied. Everything's okay now, she said. We completed our mission. Kaya can get the colonists off this planet, and maybe they will find a place where they can start again. I can save you too, Kaya said. You just need to get to a medical bay.
I can't make it, Stryker said.
Using the rest of his strength, he managed to grip Red's hand. Memories flooding his mind of a time they'd lain under the sun on a beach, the waves lapping against the shore.
Think there's anything after this for us?
He asked. Something tells me there is, Red said. We'll see each other again. Epilogue. The cryobay beeped and chirped. Red lights flashed from the corners, mixing with the golden glow of an artificial intelligence avatar. Commencing life support protocols, Kaya said. the tubes connecting to the pod occupants filled with a cocktail of drugs that would start to rouse them from sleep. Not trusting the ship's computers, she had personally overseen the entire process. As the chambers emptied of fluid, she paid special attention to the pods containing Sergeant Nate Stryker and Corporal Ramona Reddle. Even Kaya had been surprised when she found an 11th top-secret team in the chambers aboard the Goliath. A final safeguard if the other team should fail on the surface. "A last chance," she said. 400 years after the two soldiers had perished on, she was happy to finally wake up their clones. Stryker jerked in his pod, still in the purgatory between reality and dreams from his human past that the Federation had programmed into him, and memories that Kaya had programmed into the chip in his brain. He wouldn't remember everything, but she had made sure he would remember the major events on. That was going to make meeting Lieutenant Fox again very awkward, but she would handle that. After all, she had had 400 years to come up with a way to explain things to the team. "Approaching orbit," announced the robotic voice. "Turn off the engines," Kaya said. The ship groaned loudly as the gigantic fusion reactor shut off after 4 centuries of continuous operation. "Activate front thrusters," Kaya said. A shudder rumbled through the entire vessel from the reverse thrust that would slow them on their way to orbit. "Cryotubes 1 and 2 are opening," said the male robotic voice. Kaya materialized as a hologram to greet the first 2 members of the team. The pod lids opened, and Corporal Dallas Clark hunched against the door, heaving up fluids. Strands of drenched orange hair hung down over a prosthetic eye that roved across the space and focused on her. "Good morning, Corporal," Kaya said.
Christ on an effing bike. Who the hell are you supposed to be? Some sort of ancient warrior?" he mumbled.
Then he retched some more. "It's me, Kaya," she replied. He directed his prosthetic eye at her and blinked.
"Oh," Dallas said. "Wait."
"I'll explain everything soon," she said. The pod lid to Cryotube 2 slid open, and Lieutenant Alex Fox climbed out, soaking wet and shivering. "Lieutenant," she said, "welcome back." Fox simply nodded and mumbled something under his breath.
"God damn."
Dallas went down on one knee, hacking.
"I hate cryochambers." "Suck it up, Corporal," Fox said.
"Cryotube 3 opening," said the robotic voice. The third pod flipped open, and Sergeant Stryker slumped against the door. He reached up to his soggy, short-cropped hair. "Good to see you're awake, Sergeant," Kaya said. "How do you feel?"
"Like I just woke up from a very long and shitty dream," he muttered. "I had some crazy dreams too, man," Dallas said. "Cryo-sleep," Fox said. "Perfectly normal."
Stryker climbed out of the pod and made his way over to the chamber holding Red.
"Want to tell us what's going on?" Fox asked. "'Cause I got a weird feeling."
"Shortly," Kaya replied. "Once Red is awake, I'll explain everything. For now, get dried off and get some clothes on." Stryker stepped up to the clear pod with Red inside. Her fluids hadn't drained, and she still wasn't awake.
"Why is her pod not activating?"
he asked. Kaya checked the systems, noting an anomaly.
"Kaya,"
Stryker said, his voice louder. "I'm working on it, Sergeant." She ran a battery of tests to figure out what was happening, and quickly pinpointed the issue. She had increased brainwave activity, probably a nightmare, and her vitals were elevated, which was preventing the process from completing. "Adjusting the intravenous pharmaceuticals," Kaya said. "Hopefully that will wake her up." Stryker put a hand on her chamber wall. "Come on, Red." She jerked in the pod, bubbles rising around her body.
"It's not working," he said. "Do something else."
Her eyelids fluttered, and she finally woke up, her eyes fixed on the pod lid.
"Red,"
Stryker said. The fluids drained quickly, leaving her suspended by the tubes inside. "Back up, Sergeant," Kaya said. Dallas and Fox finished dressing and joined Stryker. The lid finally popped open, and Red looked at them in turn, stopping on Stryker last.
"Red,"
he said.
"Are you okay?"
She looked down. "Raisins," she muttered. Dallas laughed, but Stryker frowned.
"Why do I get the feeling you've said that before?"
he asked. He reached in and helped Red out of the pod. The team slogged to the medical bay, where they rested and took in a cocktail of more medicine to help speed their recovery. Kaya had added several different pharmaceuticals into their IVs earlier to help them relax, but it didn't seem to be working.
So anyone know where we are? And what the Federation has planned for us? Dallas asked. 'Cause I got this shitty feeling of déjà vu.
I had this terrible dream, Red said. About... She looked at Fox.
It's the cryosleep, like I said, Fox replied. But Kaya, it's time you tell us what's going on and what our mission is.
I think it would be better if I showed you, Kaya said. She had spent 4 centuries preparing for this, and despite all the algorithms she ran, a visual explanation always worked best. When you feel up to it, please follow me to the breach, she said.
I'm fine,
Fox said.
Me too,
Stryker said. Red hopped off a bed. Let's go then.
Why are my bollocks so swollen?
Dallas asked.
Man, it hurts.
Shit, man, you never stop complaining, Stryker said. I remember that.
And I remember you always trying to get me killed, Sarge,
Dallas replied. He lifted a brow.
I had a dream about that, too.
The team slowly made their way through the ship to the bridge. Panels of data screens warmed the space with a cool blue light, which Kaya had also chosen to help keep the team calm. Ready for your mission? Kaya asked.
Yeah,
Fox said. Let's hear it, Stryker said. Open the hitches, Kaya ordered. The outside metal shutters pulled away from the portholes. The team strode over, moving faster now for a look at a green planet with snaking blue rivers and massive bodies of water.
That doesn't look like Earth,
Fox said. I had a dream Earth was destroyed, Red said. That was not a dream, Kaya replied.
So that planet is our mission?
Fox asked. Stryker stepped up next to Red, taking her hand. That planet is your new home, Kaya said. Your second chance, and a second chance for humanity. This concludes the reading of Savage Skies by Nicholas Sansbury Smith. Copyright 2023 by Nicholas Sansbury Smith. This book was read by Eduardo Ballerini. This unabridged recording was produced in 2023 by Blackstone Publishing, which holds the copyright. Neither this recording nor any portion of it may be reproduced or used for any purpose without prior written authorization from Blackstone Publishing. For a complete listing of our titles, visit our website at www.downpour.com. Thank you.
Audible hopes you have enjoyed this program.